Motion made by Sue to accept 4 candidates for consideration. Patricia Bauman, Michael Tooman, Amber Green, and Stanley Jasinski. Motion made by Sue and seconded by James. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay. Motion passes. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call this meeting to order. We're here for a special meeting to do our statutory duty of selecting 3 candidates for the office of Weston County Clerk. Those names will be forwarded to the County Commissioners, and the County Commissioners will make the final selection. So thank you all for coming today, and we'll start with our invocation and our pledge. Mick, if you lead us in the invocation, and Dan, if you'll lead us in the pledge.
Lord, we bow our hearts before you today, knowing that you know all things. Lord, today as we go through this agenda, we thank you that you would be with us, lead us, guide us, direct our steps. Father, we thank you today that you are the Lord over our county, over our country. Lord, we do ask that you would bless us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
We're going to use the flag out there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pre-born and born. You really put it up there.
No, I had Alan.
Oh, Alan needs to reach
I
it.
pushed it up and you could only
No
see
worries,
the
you
bottom.
can leave it.
Leave it open, leave the.
Well, he was saying he can't glare us in his face. So he's like,
You don't have to feed his nose.
no, off the TV.
Okay.
All
It's truly simple.
Yeah, you thought you had to do it all.
Okay.
Thank you, Alan.
The first item on we have agendas and proposed floor rules at the end of the table. If anyone would like to pick those up. Oh, Curtis. No, that's for the candidate. What happened to it? What happened to our chairs?
They moved them all down.
Oh.
They're next to Marty.
All right. So if anyone would like copies they're down at the end of the table. The proposed floor rules are the rules that we have used for all of the selection meetings that we've had thus far with this Republican Party. So we'll go through those and you'll have a chance to change them or do whatever the committee should decide they want to do with the floor rules. Does anyone have any changes to the agenda? All right, if not, I will take a motion to approve the agenda.
I moved. Approve agenda.
I second.
Moved by Alan to approve the agenda and seconded by Teresa. All in favor of approving the agenda?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we will have the roll call.
All right, listen up. Okay, precinct 1-1, Alan Slagle.
Present.
Ted Ertman,
Present.
Ann Slagle.
Here.
Marty Ertman.
Here.
1-2, Bill Lampert.
Here.
Susan Love.
Here.
2-1, Dan Fouch.
Here.
And we have a proxy for Irma Fouch, Jolie.
Present.
Pardon? Oh.
Present.
Well,
There's two proxies, one from Irma Fouch giving the proxy to Jolie, and one from Chelsea Todd giving the proxy to Nathan. And those are here if anybody would like to take a look at them.
3-1, Curtis Rankin.
Here.
Loretta Moyers.
Here.
Nathan, 4-1, Nathan Todd.
Yep.
And Nathan's, as Carrie said, proxy for Chelsea. 5-1, Ben Roberts.
Present.
Teresa Gross.
Here.
5-2, John Butts.
Here.
Sue Morales.
Present.
5-3, James Burrow.
Here.
Suzanne Burrow.
Here.
Full house. For current officers, Chair Carrie Drost.
Here?
Vice Chair Mick Bone. Here. Secretary, here. Treasurer Jolie Ratnar.
Here.
State Committee Man Alan Slagle.
Still present.
And Ann Slagle.
Here.
So we have a full committee. According to our bylaws, we have precinct committee people as well as officers that are voting members. So we have 22 voting members today.
Okay.
And we have 22 members on the committee. Mr. Secretary?
I was counting.
Okay. Sorry.
So, hang
Jump
on.
the gun. Jump the gun.
One. Yeah, 22 members,
So we
voting
will,
members.
we'll have 22 voting members today. Again, the proxies are here if anybody would like to examine them. Okay, next on the agenda is the presentation and adoption of the floor rules. Yes, sir.
What rules are we using for proxies? As far as, when
So-
the proxies were turned in, who were they turned into?
So in,
Continuing proxy.
yeah,
Bylaws committee was trying to, and I don't remember exactly whether it passed or not, was trying to not, if I gave Marty my proxy and never showed to another meeting, that proxy shouldn't be only good for that one meeting and not a continuing proxy.
that is correct. And so in answer to your question, we'll use the rules in our bylaws. And Irma Fouch's proxy was received by me today. She let me know by phone yesterday, and Dan brought the written copy today. And Chelsea sent me an email. I printed out the email probably around Wednesday-ish, and appointing Nathan as a proxy. And in our bylaws, we accept by any means, electronic or written, as long as I can verify that it was the member, and it was Chelsea. So, and it was Irma that I spoke with on the phone yesterday and received the proxy today. So thank you for clarifying that, Ted. Next is the presentation and adoption of the floor rules. I would like to appoint Mick as the chair of the teller committee and the members of the teller committee of Ted and Alan, if that is okay with the committee.
Do you want a motion?
I think we should have a motion.
Okay, I move that Mick be the chair and Alan and Ted be members of the teller committee.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll say.
Ted Erdman. So motion made by Ann, seconded by Ben to appoint Mick as the teller committee chair and the members of the teller committee as Ted and Alan. All in favor of the motion? Any opposed? Motion carries. Again, these are the floor rules that we've used for previous selection committees. You all, as a committee, can choose to amend them in any way that you'd like. What's usually a topic of discussion is the amount of time for each candidate to present their cases, but that's up to you all.
Nathan,
Yes, Nathan?
Carrie, I just, at the point of looking at this, the one, at number 6, it says clerk of the board, that's just supposed to be clerk.
I apologize. Thank you for catching that, Nathan. I changed the title.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Good job.
thank you for that.
So it should be Weston County Clerk.
Is it, I'm trying to find where the time's at on here.
That's right. Oh, no, that's recess.
trying to find what?
So that doesn't really have to be.
Yeah, so that's up to the committee if they wanted to set any parameters. If they don't, that's fine with me. You know, we don't have 95 candidates, so we can listen to them as long as they need to present their case. But if anyone would like to put time limits on any portion of it, they certainly can. Yes, Curtis.
I would make a motion that the interviews last no longer than 5 minutes.
Okay,
Who's that?
Curtis?
Does that mean that they, does that include our questions? 5 minutes, like, or do they speak for 5 minutes and then we can ask questions?
I would say they could speak for 5 minutes and then we can ask questions, because they're pretty hard to.
I don't think we can get it all in. Yeah.
So candidates speak no longer than 5 minutes, then Q&A.
Yes.
Okay. Motion made by Curtis and seconded by Marty to have the candidates speak for no longer than 5 minutes, followed by a question and answer period. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of having the candidates speak no longer than 5 minutes, followed by a question and answer period? Any opposed? Motion carries. Any further changes to the floor rules? Yes,
I have a question.
yes.
Is it a bylaw rule that the written ballots are signed by the voter, or is that an
So
option?
it's not a bylaws rule. It's a practice that we kind of have done the last few times that we've used ballots in this committee. And it was originally put into our floor rules in our quest for transparency, because we as a party like to be transparent and let everyone know the way that we voted. So that was put into the floor rules for that reason. This is your committee, and you can choose to take that out if you will. If you choose to, I personally will sign my ballot because I'll be proud of my vote.
Okay. I'm gonna make a motion that we, take that out, merely for the option of deciding as a body which way we would go on that. So I'm making a motion that we take signed by the voter being required out of our, bylaw rules. That way we can have a discussion about it.
Okay,
Why don't we have the discussion before we, because we want to know why there's.
so
Motion's
she
gotta be seconded.
right, she has to have a
Move to that.
motion seconded before we can have a discussion, and then we could vote it down if we
Right,
choose to.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So a motion made by Susan to remove, where is it? Under rule number 9, remove signed by the voter.
I'll second it.
Who's
Who
that?
is that?
Bill.
Okay. Discussion.
Yeah, so I guess I just had never seen that before and always thought, secret vote and, I feel there's, I don't know, I just wanna know some pros and cons on that, I guess. I understand the transparency, but I also, think there might be pressure if we have to sign it. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know how to say this. You go ahead, thank you.
Yes, Alan.
Bail me out.
I think part of the reason that was developed in the first place is with the secret ballot, you truly you aren't pressured by anybody with your vote. But at the same time, you have a deal like what happened in Lusk where we had a secret ballot on that. And if that had been signed, deal, it wouldn't have been an issue because after the vote was taken, then it would have been transparent who actually voted the way they did. And I think that's kind of what we're looking at here, is basically you have a secret ballot, but it's not how people voted is secret. That comes out in the end, but during the voting, it's secret how it's going on. That way, like if we had a voice vote here,
Yeah.
and everybody voted for this one person and I didn't like him, I'm like, oh, well, I don't know if I want to vote against him.
You better anyway.
But I mean, that's the idea.
Yeah, so wasn't that vote different rules than these though?
Yeah.
Under a different set of rules than this? So they're really not comparable?
So, go ahead, Alan.
I guess I would say, yeah, it's a different set of rules, but the concepts still apply. It's the whole idea of how we react to peer pressure. And when we have local peer pressure, it makes it a lot more pressure on us than we have with a secret type of ballot, which
The
this.
secret ballot is perfect. I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I could just make a comment, we're a representative republic. So all of us here around this table are representatives of our precincts, or we're representatives of the people that elected us. So therefore, it's a different set of rules than if I was in the ballot box by myself filling out a ballot that is only mine. So when I'm here around this table voting with you guys, I don't feel like it should be a secret who I voted for, because it should be the people I represent should be able to know how I voted and hold me accountable for that. So, Curtis?
Are these votes gonna be open for public viewing?
So they'll be kept as a part of the record, and our records are open to public viewing. So yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Ted, did you have?
Well, just to touch on, Alan touched on the peer pressure. I think my belief is the
Bless you.
state law and so forth was written like that because we're in a small community and the peer pressure voting against the neighbor and worried about or your banker. The peer pressure of not supporting them, you're worried about the consequences. And I agree that's a wrong reason not to vote, but people are people, so that's.
Nathan.
I had a circumstance shortly after the issue in Lusk where I reached out to the Goshen County Chair, and just out of curiosity, I wanted to see minutes and from past meetings and where that vote had actually taken place in that same format in the past. And he refused to show those to me. And there was a part of me that I guess I felt, and I think it's because they're not required to keep them after a certain time frame or whatever it is, but I don't know that I like that answer, really, to be honest with you. It felt, I don't know,
Betrayed.
a little bit like you're hiding something.
Nathan, this was
Yeah.
the Goshen County Chair
Oh,
of
the,
the Republican Party,
yeah,
and they
yeah.
wouldn't give you the Republican.
Yeah, and he immediately read me I think it's in the statutes, it says that they're not required to keep it after a certain point. And I said, well, do you have them? He says, well, yes, I still have them. I said, well, would you share them with me? No, I'm not required to. And I don't know. It wasn't my favorite conversation I've had.
Well,
I
as
just wanted to
the,
throw that.
thank you for that. And as a chair of your party, if you wanted to see them from 5 years ago, I have them in a box and I'll show them to you. They're yours. As far as I'm concerned, they're not mine. They're yours. So, and you have every right to examine them. That's the way I feel. So,
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, but the last time we met as a committee like this was to select 3 for the county court clerk,
yes,
and we did sign our ballots then,
we did.
the same way when we did that
Right.
selection.
We did.
So there's a motion on the table, so, on the floor, sorry. So do we, so should we vote on it?
Yep.
Are we
Yeah,
ready?
go Okay.
If there's no further discussion.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to remove signed by the voter from rule number 9, and have the ballots be secret. Motion made by Susan and seconded by Bill. All in favor of the motion? Any opposed? No. Motion fails, and we will all sign our ballots. So,
That's fine. I
thank
just
you
wanna
for the
know.
discussion. That's a good
Yeah.
discussion. Is there anywhere, when you mentioned Goshen, it made me think of something. Goshen, they do that you have to vote for 3. Is that in our rules? Or can you make a ballot for, just vote for 1? Is it in our rules? I always objected to that when they did it at the state. I don't think it's in our rules.
Madam Chair,
Yeah,
being part of the teller committee, I'm going to ask everybody not to use the doctor's signature.
Is that print and then sign?
Very plain too.
would you like that as a motion or just a point of information?
A point of,
It doesn't look like it's,
yeah.
it's not.
Okay,
So we can vote for them.
okay. If there's no further discussion on the rules, did we have a vote to accept the rules as presented?
I would so move.
Okay,
Move as amended with the time limit for speeches.
okay,
And the,
Cycle 1-6.
of the court crossed out.
yes. So, do we have a second?
John, did you second that?
John. Motion made and seconded to approve the floor rules as amended. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for that. On to candidate presentations, questions, and answers. So as of this very moment, we have 3 candidates, and I did send the candidates that had sent me their resumes. We have Patricia Bauman, Mike Tooman, James Michael Tooman, and Amber Green candidate packets that were received by this committee. I have extra copies up here if anyone needs them.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to offer myself and my resume to be considered for this position as county clerk interim.
Okay.
If this is the appropriate time to do it. I have 25 copies of my resume.
So we have, should we have a motion to accept the 3 candidates that presented their information to the committee for consideration? And then we'll move to nominations from the floor. Does that seem fair? Alan?
Madam Chair, I would suggest we go ahead and just finish accepting nominations from the floor and then we
Okay.
just accept all the nominations at
Fair.
one vote.
Okay. So we have a nomination from the floor for Stanley Jasinski. Thank you, Stanley.
Should I pass them around?
Yeah, you can put these in the middle if these are the packets that were received if anybody needs copies or if anyone in the public needs copies. Do we have any further nominations from the floor? Any further nominations from the floor? Okay. So we will have 4 candidates total. And that would be Patricia Baumann, Michael Tuman, Amber Green, and Stanley Jasinski. So I verified with voter lists that Amber Green, Stanley Jasinski, and Mike Tuman are registered Republicans. Patricia Baumann, I verified with the clerk's office that she is a registered voter in Weston County, so all 4 candidates are eligible because they are registered voters in Weston County. If anybody would like to see the email from the clerk's office, I have that as well. Obviously Stanley is not on it because he was just nominated from the floor, but Stanley is our treasurer and is our secretary. And as of the last voter list that I have for the convention, he is a registered Republican in Weston County. So.
Madam Chair, when you say registered voter, is one of the candidates not a Republican?
Yeah, so Ted, I sent an email to the clerk's office and my email said, in preparation for Saturday's meeting, would you please verify that the following 3 people are registered voters in Weston County? And the clerk sent back a reply that said, so there are 2 Republicans and 1 is not, which wasn't really my question. My question was, are they registered voters? Which is what the statute says, are they registered voters? But I can infer from the reply that they are all registered voters. And in answer to your question, Patricia Baumann is not a registered Republican, but she is registered, and perhaps that'd be a question that the committee could ask her because it wasn't clarified by the clerk's office what she's registered as.
I agree.
Okay.
What is what is the state law? You know, I know, I looked at it, to me it wasn't clear.
So the statute says that the only requirement is that you are a registered voter it doesn't say that this party has to nominate a registered Republican. They can nominate a registered voter. However, if you chose somebody who wasn't a Republican and that person did not fulfill their entire term, then this party would lose the ability to put forward 3 names.
It would just go straight to the
It would go straight to the commissioners.
But that would be from now until January.
Correct.
That's correct.
Yep. Yep. Thank you. That's a great question.
Because it was unclear to me what the statute was trying to say.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
I guess
the only
they said what they
requirement.
wanted to say.
Yep. We can nominate a Democrat, we can nominate a Republican, we can nominate an independent. And that would be your decision as a precinct committee person.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So for the people who've not ever been to a Republican Party meeting, I try to include everyone in the meeting and not just, these are the voting members, but we're happy to take any questions from the floor, questions, comments, or anything from the floor. So if any of you in the public have anything that you'd like to say, please feel free. You're part of Weston County and you have a role in this decision, so please feel free. All right, any questions?
Just need a motion.
Okay, so we need a motion to accept the 4 candidates.
I so moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
James.
Okay. Motion made by Sue to accept 4 candidates for consideration. Patricia Bauman, Michael Tooman, Amber Green, and Stanley Jasinski. Motion made by Sue and seconded by James. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay. Motion passes. And does anyone have any particular order they would like these in? The order that I listed them in and the order that I announced them in was the order that they were received, but the committee can choose any order they would like.
Madam Chair, I move that we interview them in the order that they were received.
Okay.
I second.
I second.
Order received. Okay, motion on the floor to interview candidates in the order that their applications were received. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Madam
All right.
Chair,
Yes.
and it's going to be very inconvenient here, but I would like to, the other candidates be removed from the meeting and sequestered.
Thank you for reading my mind, Ted, because that's why I chose this room, so that we could do that.
Well, it's very hard for them. I'm glad it's not snowing out and going 40 miles an hour, because there's nowhere really to sequester that I can
Bathroom.
see.
The vault.
Bring me some out if you go to the vault. Or share when you come out.
I think that's a very fair request.
I think everybody knows the reasons why I kind of would like that motion or support that thought.
All right. So if
there a
we,
second?
I'll second.
okay. Motion made by Ted and seconded by Teresa to sequester candidates. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so if we could start, we'll start with Patricia. You can start in the hot seat right there. And if the other candidates would head outside and enjoy some fresh air. Actually,
Designate somebody at second.
may I, before Stanley leaves, Stanley is our secretary, so is it all right with the committee if we appoint Jolie to do the secretary duties during candidate interviews?
I make a motion.
Okay.
Second.
Right, nice.
So I missed that.
Teresa moved and Nathan
I moved.
seconded.
Okay, motion made by Teresa.
Teresa.
Oh my God, I can't even read my own writing. Motion made by Teresa, seconded by Nathan for Jolie to replace Stanley as the recording secretary during candidate interviews. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Yes.
Madam Chair, may we appoint the timer, please?
Yeah, because we have the 5-minute thing, right? Does everyone, this is Patricia's.
I can find it.
And
We all got.
Ben Cavalli.
Ben volunteers to be our timer. Is the committee okay with Ben being our timer?
Gonna run by military time.
Yes.
Is that 5 minutes or faster in the military?
No, slower.
Or slower.
Well, it might be faster.
All right. We are ready for you, Patricia.
Can we have a minute
Yes.
to read this?
Oh. Is this your statement you're going to read?
Yeah, pretty close to that.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
So my name is Patricia Bauman, but I go by Tricia, if you please. And just quickly, before I start this, I want to let you know that when I registered to vote, the paperwork referred to me as nonpartisan, so that you have that little bit more of a detail. And I'm glad in the questioning period to discuss that with anyone. I know this room is full of people who care deeply about Weston County and about election integrity, and I'm here because I care too. The clerk's role is immense. Title 22, the election code, describes the clerk's role as the head election officer in the county. Title 18, 3-402, describes the general duties of the office in length. And I would suggest that you view that particular title if you have not already. Between these two titles, the job is quite burdensome. I have nothing but respect for Acting Clerk Amber. She has kept this office running under very difficult circumstances. The prior clerk failed this county. Fresh eyes are needed on every aspect of this office, not just the election integrity aspect of the office, to restore public trust. An informal audit, so to speak, new eyes looking at everything. I'm willing to dedicate myself to this project. When it comes to the elections, I will demonstrate respect for separation of powers between the commissioners, the clerk, the Secretary of State, the legislature, and the Attorney General. That's my place. The Secretary of State is the chief election officer. The legislature represents the people's will and writes the law. The Attorney General is the final legal authority. The commissioners control the funding for the elections in their county. The clerk is the head election officer for the county. Each has a role.
None has all the power. We are just over 3 months from the 2026 election. The deadlines have already begun. Paperwork for candidates starts next week. Ballots should be printed by July 4th for testing and proofreading. And our early voting begins July 21st. We need an interim clerk ready to move immediately. Our county must install an interim clerk who can hit the ground running when it comes not only to the election, but also to maintaining the numerous general duties of that office. I see the frustration with voting machines in Wyoming. I feel the same frustration. I've participated in the full ballot counting counts in Gillette and in Newcastle. And I highly respect the desire to return to hand counting ballots.
When life gets tough, you don't have to face it alone. Call 988 for confidential, free support 24/7.
Frustration. I've participated in the full ballot counting counts in Gillette and in Newcastle. And I highly respect the desire to return to hand counting ballots. I've watched this local GOP even form a committee to pursue that end. As a clerk, I will balance the rule of law with the will of the people. When the law is clear, I will follow it. When the law is unclear, I will seek binding direction from the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, and/or the LSO as needed. I will not test the law. I will not break the law. That's what the last clerk did, and I'm not going to repeat that. If we were to hand count for 2026, there are 4 things that I would need very quickly before I could set it up on such short notice. A binding written directive from the Secretary of State that authorizes the hand count and provides direction and needed waivers. One example of a waiver would be an extension to the 10:30 p.m. election night deadline for unofficial results. Number 2, a written guarantee from the Weston County GOP that the hand count is indeed supported by the precinct leaders and that enough trained volunteers can be provided to meet statutory deadlines. Number 3, that I receive no legal cease and desist from the Wyoming Attorney General or from the legislature to do the hand count. And 4th, a written guarantee from the county commissioners that they will fund that hand count. And if legal problems arise, they would allow a return to the machines for this year. If the 4 criteria are not met, we will proceed with the machine system
5 minutes.
using. I guess you can leave that.
Not much left.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the committee? Yes.
Just in a couple of sentences, tell me who you are. I mean, not your resume, who are you as a person?
I'm a person who feels like I need to step forward and serve in a civic duty. I feel like I'm a multitasker who can take on this enormous job and right the ship, basically, find anomalies, fix them, restore public trust. I feel I have the background and capability to do that.
Yes, John.
You, on your thing you sent in, you said that you were a math teacher, but you quit because of migraines triggered by the old-fashioned fluorescent lights. What kind of lights do they have in the courthouse? Are they going to affect you or?
Oh, that's a very good question. That happened back in the 1990s, and since then, my migraines are gone.
Marty.
You stated that you would explain why not a registered Republican could be here explanation, please.
My original choice to re-register as, I started out as a registered Republican. My choice to re-register as a nonpartisan began solely because I ran for clerk 4 years ago, and the primary's in August, and the major portion of my income is made in July and August because we put a pay on contract. And so trying to run as a candidate on an August ballot was extremely burdensome. So I thought, well, if I could be on the November ballot, I could put the hay up, and then in September I could start campaigning. So that was the original choice. And I have to admit, since then, I'm actually kind of comfortable with the position of being nonpartisan. This GOP community still lets me be involved and is nice to me. And I'm a very conservative person, but I am more of a Pat Buchanan, Ron Paul, Thomas Massey Republican. And all of them, the first two were rejected by the Republican Party as president. Thomas Massey's getting an enormous amount of pushback as a Republican from the Republican Party. So I'm in the minority of the Republican Party, I guess. And go ahead.
Do you think that office requires somebody to be political?
I do not, and thank you for bringing that up, because I saw legislation hit Cheyenne where they tried to get, I believe it was the clerk, the treasurer, and the assayer. Don't quote me on that. And it tried to go, someone introduced legislation to make those nonpartisan positions, which I totally agree with. I serve everyone. I serve Democrats. I serve Republicans. I serve nonpartisans. In this particular instance, because Mrs. Hadlock was a Republican, as I stated in here, if you want to do this hand count thing as a Republican Party, I would represent you in that under these conditions. It seems like a big deal to this group, and I would do everything I can, but.
Does-
This goes back to what Justin Wong said, and
Can you repeat that?
I didn't understand it.
This is going to be a very full-time job for you.
Yes, sir.
So how does the outside work out of the courthouse going to match up with the work inside the courthouse and the voting?
Very, very good question. The Lord's provided me, I guess, because I've had two very close friends who also put up hay, retire from their other full-time jobs, and have offered to step up for hire to help my husband continue our business. So they would be the ones out raking the hay and baling the hay and picking up the hay. And I may be involved slightly on the sales end of it, like people would contact me and say, I need 100 bales, and I pass that off to my husband, but that would be covered. And I also operate 2 vacation home rentals in the summer. And I just lost my house cleaner manager, but again, I just found someone who stepped up who can take that role over. So I realize, especially in this period between now and the November election, 100% of me needs to be here, and it will be.
Thank you.
Ellen, go ahead.
I guess what I would say, looking at the clerk's office, how do you see the interaction of the clerk with the public? How do you perceive that needing to be from your point of view?
I think a clerk needs to leave her personal thoughts, beliefs, and biases at home. And whoever walks into that office, Wyoming resident, should be served to the fullest. I don't care what color their skin is. I don't care what they're wearing on their head. I don't care what party they're affiliated with. I don't care how they're dressed. They just need the service of whether are they there for a license or a title or whatever they need. they need the utmost care.
Anne, sorry.
So what's your leadership style and how you see yourself interacting with the people that are already in the clerk's office?
I would hope to keep all of the people that are there right now and not like go in and try to blow things up and change everything and put my friends in there. Amber has been heroic through this. I have ultimate respect for her. Her knowledge and experience would be almost essential. I mean, without her and the other people who know what they're doing in there. I would definitely be their boss. I'm willing to let them, however, contradict or question what I'm doing, and we'd sit down and talk about it to assure that our statutes are followed, which I don't think our last clerk was maybe very good at. And I would be willing to be questioned and go to outside sources to find the right legal answer. I have nothing against any of those people. I don't think it's their fault, anything that's happened.
I guess just from speaking from experience, I think it's important to understand maybe that finding legal guidance isn't always easy in Weston County. And part of that, I think, falls on the AG's office, where us as citizens we're not allowed to reach out to that office. And so then you're leaning on somebody that may or may not reach out to that office. So I guess that could be a difficult position you may find yourself in, because I've seen it in the past, that sometimes you can't find those answers in a timely format, and it's very difficult to wrap your hands around that that's what we're dealing with here. And I hope that if you are chosen for this position, you may have to find a way to work with individuals that sometimes don't always maybe want to do some of the legwork that you view as important.
I understand. One of the biggest losses I have is that of William Curley. I didn't take everything William Curley said as gospel, but he's someone I could talk to and I could look up statutes, and he had an understanding and he could help me decide how I was going to interpret that law. I've also learned that you can reach out to at least the LSO pretty quickly. I think I can only do that, and the commissioners can only do the best they can do. No law is written perfectly, and there's different interpretations. And I just don't think one person, and I'm specifically thinking of Mrs. Hadlock, sometimes she didn't even go read the statute. I had that happen to me personally. She just made up what she wanted the answer to be. And I won't do that, and I will take input, and I'll do the best that I can, just like our commissioners do. I've seen you have to deal with that.
Ted, did you have a question?
Yes. What's your personal thoughts on the associations, like the clerk associations and trainings and things that they may offer? Do you believe in reaching out or going to those?
I would, but I'll take none of what they tell me as gospel.
Yeah.
I have a question. That election integrity is paramount, and a poorly run election and lack of checks and balances is the reason why we had this big mess.
Yeah.
So what would you do where do you see extra checks and balances that you would put into the system to make sure that the information that's put out is gospel or truth or accurate?
I have actually read the election code. That would be one improvement that you would have immediately. And I can see where the major parties are involved in that. For instance, the poll watchers. that it would be statute and regulations and legislation that I would go with on the audits and meeting the deadlines and doing what we need to do. And when the party is supposed to be involved, they will be involved. I don't know much about the Democrat side of the involvement in the elections, but I know that there are several people in this room and one sitting out there that would be invaluable for providing input and education on that, and I'm willing to take that help.
I'm just curious, how would you select and how would you utilize the canvassing board?
I honestly have not thought that far ahead and would take input on that. Marty?
I always throw the trick question in, that you're not gonna be, that's what I do. So you stated on the, and it's not really a trick, I always put that out there, you understand me. On Title 18.3.402, there is a list. There's one of them that this county right now doesn't implement, and it's probably very important. I'm just gonna ask every one of you, I won't give any answers, but do you know which one that is?
I do not,
Okay, fair enough.
but I'm willing to look at it and fix it.
Cool. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, I have a question for our candidate. Tricia, glad you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah, election integrity is on my mind, but also just integrity in general in the office. And it saddened me on multiple occasions while I was in the clerk's office when I saw our former clerk shouting at her staff and acting in an unprofessional manner, I'm sorry, not being a professional manager, not exhibiting professional behaviors in front of the public. And if I had been one of the staff members and been shouted at in front of other people, I would have been deeply offended by that. So, so my question to you is, if you, I mean, it's normal, it's part of being human to sometimes get upset. If you were upset with one of the subordinates or maybe the entire staff at once or just having a bad day, can you share with us how you might handle it under those circumstances? Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Definitely not the way that you witnessed the last clerk today. It depends on the height of the offense and how important it is to deal with in the moment, but if I definitely had a urgent issue with someone, we would probably step somewhere out and discuss it. And I'm a highly intense person and emotional, but I'm not what I would consider volatile. And if you look at my resume, ever since I was in high school, I was chosen in a leadership role, I think because of that, and because I don't judge people based on what clique they're in or what party they're in or things like that. And I was the student body president, I was the team leader of my sports. After college, I was the South Dakota State president of the National Wild Turkey Federation. So I have some experience, I guess, with the emotional, volatile aspect of dealing with different personalities.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions for Patricia? Tricia?
That's fine. I answered them both. My brother's name is Patrick, so it got confusing at times. We were both Pat. Yeah, which one of us is in trouble?
Your mom had a sense of humor too?
Yes.
Any further questions? All right. Thank you very much, Tricia.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Next would be Michael. Would you send him in? Thank you.
Carrie, going forward, can I, let everybody know that I'll give a 4-minute warning and then, stop them after 5 minutes.
Okay,
I'll
thank
let them
you.
know they'll do a 4-minute warning.
They can talk faster.
And close that.
Is everyone okay? Do we need a break or anything before? Like, we're good? Ted, I know you like your breaks.
No, I always call for one. I was gonna suggest that maybe the people that have been in interviews don't have to be sequestered, but maybe it's a good deal.
I think it's a good idea.
Well, you know,
That's a good point.
talks about, maybe.
They can talk all they want, that's okay with me.
If moderate Republicans are their dislike for Freedom Caucus is enough that they'll actually vote for a Democrat. I mean, there is that potential.
Yeah, it's just because to me, you know, and I watch all of these public meetings, and you don't see the moderates at the meetings.
No.
You don't see those people that sit on the middle of the fence at the meetings. They're not passionate enough about anything to show up to the meetings, to stand on a podium and say something. You have to be extremely passionate about politics to be willing to put yourself out there and to be judged in that sense. And I don't think you see the people that ride the middle of the fence doing that because they ride the middle of the fence. So they're like, I really don't care either way. It doesn't impact my life directly. I'm not planning on getting an abortion. So why do I care about what the abortion law is? Like, I don't own a bunch of land, so property tax doesn't hurt my feelings. Like, I think there's a lot of those people, the young people in Wyoming.
Welcome, Mike. Please. So Mike Ben is our timer, and he is going to, we're at the 4-minute mark. He'll tell you 1 minute left, and so you have 5
I
minutes.
suspect that I'll be talking for a lot less than that, since most of you know me as it is. The only statement I really want to make is that I think I'm probably a little bit different than the other candidates in the sense that I'm more of a transition type. I've got a lot of experience that's subsidiary or different from being a clerk. Now, probably the most important in my experience right now is probably the fact that I've been involved with elections in this county for almost 20 years. I was the senior election judge for about 12 or 14 years. So I'm pretty familiar with that process, and I think right now that probably is the most critical experience we need because we got an election coming up. So that's going to be priority one regardless. The other things is I'm pretty familiar with most systems, documentation, all that sort of stuff. And I think those skill sets will be useful for the county. So that's basically my open statement. The other thing that I do want to say is I really believe that the clerk's position is not a political position. I think it is nonpartisan and should be. I think it's more a service organization than anything else. Statutorily, there's quite a few responsibilities that the clerk's office has. And in that sense, I think it's probably the most critical organization in the county, not because it does things actively, but because it's the repository of so much information. And so it supports the rest of the county. I don't think it is a organization that has responsibility for making decisions in the sense that that's what the commissioners are for. Commissioners are the ones that should be making the decisions. So it's really a support organization. And so that's where I'm coming. And I'm open to any questions.
Thank you. Bill?
Right, just in a couple of sentences, tell us who you are as a person, not your resume or any of that, but just who is Mike Ben?
Well, first and foremost, I am a believing Christian. I definitely believe in the Judeo-Christian Judeo-Christian principles that this country was founded on. And I believe there's a moral obligation for those of us who live in a community like this to give back to the community. I've spent most of my life here, not talking about, I still have my corporation, and I have very few clients now because I've cut them back quite a bit. So I won't be doing much activity there. But I've done a lot of support here in the community, and I have every intention of continuing to do that. My parents used to give me a hard time, when I'm going to retire, and I said, well, when the good Lord plants me, I'll be retired. But until then, I have no intentions of doing so. I believe that we're too small, we're too isolated as a community to not understand that you have neighbors, and neighbors are very important and critical to you. And I try to live that way.
Thanks.
Anyone else have a question? Yes, ma'am.
So, what's your leadership style, and how do you see yourself interacting with the people already in the clerk's office?
Well, sort of a leading question, and I'll answer it this way. Even though we've lost a clerk for whatever reason, and frankly, I don't care, you have to go in, and I'm not looking for scapegoats. I'm not looking for trying to find problems other than the ones that are associated with normal clerk type activities. I'm a very strong team player in that sense. I believe that you have to work together to get something accomplished. And we're not rich enough as a county to have millions of people. So you really have to work together as a team with everyone. And I'm a very strong believer in that.
Ben.
Can you explain your position on hand counting?
Okay, another leading question. I'm not against it. I'm not for it. I am for what is best for this county, whatever it is. I don't have the knowledge of knowing what contracts have been signed or haven't been signed, so I can't make a comment on whether I will support machines or won't support machines. I have some serious questions about machines. Hand counts, I think, were small enough. My personal opinion on that, which is subject to reality, because I don't know the exact contractual obligations we have right now. For a county this size, I think hand counting makes a lot of sense. That would probably be my first choice, but it's not a choice yet because I don't know the specifics. And on top of that, to me, the clerk has to work with the county commissioners to actually make it happen. I don't think that any one group makes that decision. Actually running an election is statutorily required of the clerk, not the county commissioner. But if you don't work together on it, you can't get anything accomplished. So it's got to be a team effort here. And whatever the decision is on hand counting versus machines versus whatever, it has to be done collectively by the clerk's office and the commissioners.
How do you feel about the current machines and the reliability of them?
Well, since I had to work with them for several years, I detest them.
I remember you.
I'm not against machines per se, but I'll give you one example that really irritates me no end. The last rules we had when I was still active was that we couldn't pull the ballots out and sort them out by precinct. Well, that gets rid of the very first check and balance you have on ballots, which is you have X number of ballots when you start. You use Y number, which you check through the machine, and then when you're all over with, you get an account that says that the ballots you started with and the ballots you ended up with are the same. That to me is very critical because it stops stuffing ballots. And not having the ability to actually go into the machines and pull them out and sort them is a nightmare. I think it's terrible. Secondly, I don't think we have good enough tests for the machines that we have. Now, I'm not against tabulating machines, but I am a systems engineer. I think most of you guys know that. The issue I have with the machines, if there is a modem in there it can probably be accessed externally. And I have a major problem with that. I think we need air gaps on any machines that we have.
Nathan?
Michael, I guess my experience of going into the voting area is just going to the booth and voting and dealing with some of the folks there, but could you tell me the difference between a senior election judge and an election judge? I guess I don't know that.
Okay, Newcastle specifically has a senior election judge because we have, what, 5, I believe, precincts? And so the senior election judge's primary function actually is becoming a roving judge to answer questions. That's the one person that isn't bothered by being interrupted. You have to be careful with the other election judges because, especially when you have a lot of people coming in, the flow gets jammed up if you interrupt the process. Well, the senior election judge, at least while I was it, that was like, 8 or 10 years, was the main problem. I mean, the main job that I had at that time was to make sure things were smooth, was to check on the machine, make sure it was okay, to answer any unusual or abnormal questions. And one of the points I'll make here is that, and I forgot to say it earlier, I apologize. I am a very strong believer in open elections. In other words, I like to have people there watching that are not part of the process. And if we do go hand counting, I'd want that there as well. And so part of the senior election judge's job was making sure that the poll observers, if you will, were not interfering, but make sure they had the information they needed to see what's going on.
Susan?
So like you said, election, because it's coming up fast and it is a priority. But I would like you to rate these 3 chores that we got coming, prioritize them. We have the election, we're creating better process in the clerk's office. I'm sure there's room for improvement on that. And financial records and public access to it.
Okay, the number 1 priority by definition is the election. There's no choice there. We have to have a good, clean election. There's been enough public doubt that that's got to be removed. The only way we can do that is to prioritize it, make sure it is open as possible. There's another part that's not associated with that, your good question on finances. That's a support service that the clerk's office has definitely got to be able to do. Now, I personally, and here's where I'm coming from a point of ignorance, I'd have to look at the statutes, but I want to see all of the finances of this county as open as possible. If I had my choice, we'd have them published online just as soon as we can possibly get them. Now, there's some information you cannot publish, which has to do with personnel and that sort of stuff. That's obviously got to be held tight. But otherwise, I'd like to see us as open as we can possibly get. And those to me are very important. Election is first. You've got to support, because this, the budget session I know is going on right now. And the clerk's office has got to support that effort. As I understand the statutes, the budget is handled mechanically by the clerk's office. In other words, the clerk deals with making sure all the information is there and so forth. But that's not a position where the clerk doesn't make decisions on the budget. That's the commissioner's job.
So, yeah, I was just asking for a clarification of better, how am I gonna put this? So that we can understand what's going on in that form. We asked for the budget form. I can't understand it, just to get those books in order, kind of, I guess. And you pretty much answered that.
Well, a little bit further on that. Part of my difficulty is I don't know what systems are being used there. I have not been able to get a hold of a catalog of software that the county has, what its positions are and what it's doing. That's something we definitely need to know what it is. And depends on how much manual operation there is. I mean, you can run stuff on spreadsheets, and to a certain extent that works fine. But that's also handing a machine gun to a kid and say, go play. because you can make more mistakes quicker on the spreadsheet than you can almost anything else. So we need some support services, and I don't know what they are. So this is where you have to be in the position to know. And the clerk's office also has to really work closely, in this particular case, with the commissioners, make sure that the budget support and all the other financial support. The clerk's office is where all the repository of information is. So those processes have to be pretty clear. And I don't see that as something that's secret. Individual, and again, this is the ignorance again. I'm not sure what all has to be kept private. And then I'll find out, of course, if you guys end up putting me in there. So there's some things that I know about, some things I don't.
Any thoughts on how you would select and how you would utilize the canvassing board?
If I had my way, we would hand count, regardless whether we hand count or we machine count, at least one or more precincts after the fact, go back in and double check what was done. I believe it's critical that we have demonstrated accuracy, and a lot of you in here know that I do a lot of work with the legislature. And what I would try to push even harder is making sure we have some laws that allow us, like as an example right now, and I have to know for a fact that, let's say we did a hand count on a precinct. I'm in 1-2, so let's say we hand count in 1-2. It doesn't make any difference because you can't make any changes. That's wrong. You have to be able to, if you find errors, they need to be incorporated within the election. So there's legislative support that has to be done there.
Ted, did you have a question before?
I honestly had a question about the budget, because it's coming upon the county very quickly, and it's also very, very important, but I think you answered my question, so thank you.
Hey, Michael.
Michael?
If you are not selected to be the clerk with the wonderful wisdom you have from all your years as an election judge, would you be willing to support whoever is selected in helping them to understand all the processes perhaps of the election judge, senior election judge, all the things that they may not know yet? Would you be willing to help them if they ask?
Oh, absolutely. The only caveat I have is I don't want to be forced on them, because whoever has a responsibility should be the one making the decisions. But I would be definitely willing to support anyone that I can help.
Thank you.
Marty.
Okay, I'm the chair question person. So in Title 18.3.402, there's a list of all the statutory suggestions, requirements of a clerk. There's one that we have not utilized in a long time. Do you know which one that is?
No, I don't.
Okay, fair enough. May I ask a follow-up?
Yes.
There was a question that was asked about associations. Would you use those associations to, as a benefit?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to me, the clerk position is really a service organization. Its job is not to make decisions per se, but to make sure all the information necessary to those who have to make decisions is available. That's basically what I've done with the legislature, is do research on various things. And I would certainly be doing that if I were in the clerk's position.
About associations, if you didn't agree with what the Clerks Association was telling you, would you follow their suggestions, or would you follow your best judgment?
First of all, I'd follow the statute. Second of all, I'd follow the resolutions of the commissioners. And third of all, depends. Because there's a lot of things the Clerks Association does I don't agree with. And I would take it under advisement. There's a lot of things I would have to learn. If it's portrayed as a doctrine, probably not. The Clerks Association to me is an association of trading experiences so everybody does better. It's not a dictatorial body.
I have one more question. So, and you sort of answered it, so I'm not, but anyway, I had written down, please explain in detail how you're qualified to run the elections.
Oh, I'm not sure how to answer that one. Okay, it's a two-part there. As far as the elections themselves at the polling places, I don't have any issue with that because that's what I did for 18 years. The office stuff is different. I cannot tell you that I know how to do that because there's a lot of things that were done there that I have not done. I know what the statutes say. I know what in essence needs to be done. There's quite a few processes there. There's a lot of long lead time items. But there's some things that you can't do until certain dates are like, I think it's the 16th, as I recall, where we have to start registering for offices. 14th, I stand corrected. Then goes what, the 28th, the 29th, something like that? 29th. Okay, once that's done, that really kicks the whole process off. There's a lot of long lead time items there, like you've got to structure and organize the ballots, whether it's done by machine count or whether it's done by hand. That process is pretty much the same. And there are a bunch of rules and regs that are associated with that, like what order do you put names in and on and on. But in terms of running an election from the precinct point of view, from the polling point of view, I could probably do that in my sleep.
Please don't.
March Madness was fun to watch, but ensuring Wyoming's future is serious business that requires disciplined management. That's why State Treasurer Curt Meier focuses on steady, conservative leadership that grows our investments and protects our way of life, so our kids and grandkids can build their future right here at home. Keep the ball in Curt Meier's hands and set the stage for a finer 4 years for Wyoming. Without the madness.
The question on, not sure exactly how to address the question, but to me personally, in the last election, part of the problem was with the clerk being tasked with running the election, was that part of the problem that happened then was maybe if there had been more involved in making sure everything was in order before the election, as far as the ballots and that. So what would be your position in incorporating more help legally that would help you out to make sure prior to the election, everything was set in order as far as the ballots and them being the right ballots?
There's a couple of approaches here. The real consideration on one side is the budget. Because if you don't have the budget, and this is where the clerk's office has to work very closely with the commissioners, you have to have the budget to take care of the critical items that have to be done. Manpower is one of them. We're fortunate in this community, we have a lot of people who are willing to volunteer. And as long as we can get those people certified, i.e. so that they're in a position where they can legally do the work, because you can't just walk in as a volunteer in the clerk's office and say, I'm going to do data entry or whatever, because you don't know whether that information is proprietary or not. So I would look at what we can do as far as internal, because that's usually better control. But I have no problem and actually would encourage within the law people to come in and help us, because we're gonna need that. We're a small county. And we can't afford enough full-time employees to handle the peak issues. So we've got to have a more moderate approach to it. And part of that can be done part-time, with, paying for the people. Part of it can be done with volunteers. And I'm for whatever works. The whole goal and objective to me for the clerk is to make everything smooth so that the information can be given to the people that need it. And I don't like roadblocks and stuff like that. I mean, I really like, other than statutory limits, which we have to live with, maybe the more we can get the public involved, the happier I am.
Yes, Curtis.
Could you explain the work that you do or doing with the legislature? No, I cannot. I'm sorry. I can give you in general. I do research for a number of the legislators. I am not a political advisor. I do not advise any of them on how they should or shouldn't vote. I'm more involved in information gathering, and that is, from my perspective, proprietary. Because every one of the legislators looks at something different, and it's not my job to, basically kiss and tell. So I can't tell you specifics. I can just tell you I do research for that.
Mike, I probably should ask this to the first person that's in the room, but one of the difficulties, if you're chosen, you're gonna encounter immediately, is we have, not only is there an election, but there's a budget process that's falling on interlaps immediately, and amongst other things. Do you feel, I guess, prepared to be able to juggle all that over the next several months? Or?
Well, I look at it like this. The clerk's job, and I realize that the clerk is an elected official, so there's no time clock that you punch. I would be shocked if it took less than 50 to 60 hours a week, possibly more than that, in the crunch time. And that's just the way it is. A year ago, no, I couldn't, because I was taking care of my wife. Now that issue is no longer around, so I have the time to be able to do it. And it's a full-time job. It's actually a full-time job and a half, especially this year. And there'll be a little bit of a break between, after August and before November, but it's sort of a minor break. But now there's, as I see it from the outside, I'm not an insider. From the outside, the election is going to take a lot of time, and the budget process is always a nightmare. I used to do budgets for the federal government in various ways as a consultant. So the real difficulty is being able to get enough information to the right people at the right time and do that coordination. No, from a point of view of skills and experience, I've done that. It just is, it's not a 40-hour-a-week job. It just isn't, not to start with. It can't be.
Any other questions? Yes, Ken.
Madam Chairman, I have a question for a candidate. Actually, my name's Dan Hoffman.
We've only met a million times.
Yeah. So I'm going to give the context for my question. Our election integrity committee did some research with ES&S documentation, and their own officers of ES, corporate officers, published documents saying that they do have modems in them, and I've heard contrary statements. But if you look at any smartphone or flip phone, you can access any available signal from a small chip. A modem doesn't have to be a big thing like somebody's home Wi-Fi router.
Yeah, right now it's about a 1-inch square.
Yeah, so it's very likely that they actually do have that hardware somewhere inside the machine. I consider it likely, but you're allowed to have your own assessment. I also bought some USB memory sticks, locally in town, some from Marty's store. Some, a couple of Deckers. I went up to the office store in Gillette, and I bought some out of state on some recent travel. Every single one I analyzed had binary code stored on it already. And you would probably, the rest of you would know that, because if you plug that into your laptop or your PC, all of a sudden the window pops up because it says it's storing the driver on your computer. Well, our problem is if we look at where those sticks are made, whether we have purchased them on the retail market or whether they came from ES&S, the actual circuit inside there is almost universally made either in communist China or one of their proxy nations, if we look at where they're manufactured. So I think my personal opinion is it would be naive of us to think, given the track record of the Communist Party and their stated goals, it would be naive of us to consider that there's no risk there in that binary code or in the chips built into the machine. We also uncovered a memo from Tulsi Gabbard that found that there is communist China, or suspected communist China, the hackers that influenced the tabulators, the very same ones, ES&S 200 in New York. And so between that and the documentation from ES&S that justify their internet connection capability inside the machine on the basis, well, it's good to have because we can get earlier voting results. So air gap is a good idea, but we don't have an air gap in essence, unless we had some way of, unless we all had an air Faraday cage around the building where the machine is, and we all voted inside there. There's no air gap. So could you please comment? Could you please comment on why you think the machines would not be vulnerable to manipulation?
Anything that connects by signal to anything outside is vulnerable, period. And there are no exceptions. And I have been inside the EMS machines, and they do have modems in them. And I don't know how technical you guys want to get. We can get real technical real quick here. Basically, a Faraday cage is something that blocks electronic signal. And you can do that, but I'm far more concerned about the contractual obligations that we are associated with if we use any of the machine count. In essence, I guess it says I really am for hand counting, but just from a practical point of view, especially the size of the community we have here, we can take care of it. But the problem you run into on any electronic machine, no matter what it is, and I've got the instrumentation and tools that I don't need a modem to read your computer. So you don't even have to have a modem in it. You really have to have an air gap. And I've done a lot of security work with the federal government. And that's always a technical issue that you have to deal with. That's why anything that's critical in the federal government's done in a special room that does not allow any electronics in or out. And that's the only way you can stop it. Because, and, like, I don't have my cell phone with me, but I saw Marty playing with hers. If she turns it off, if I'm within 100 feet of it, I can read it anyway. I mean, literally. And so that's always a problem. It's with any kind of electronic equipment. So that's something that we definitely need to consider. You can minimize those because this is where I got to be careful how deep we go. Fortunately, I am a systems engineer and I do understand how it works. The problem you end up running into is with any electronic equipment, no matter what it is, you have to provide for some kind of security associated with it. I'm talking electronic security. That can be done. We can put the machines in a electronically safe environment, but we probably have problems contractually. This is why I need to read the contract before I can really comment. Like E&S as an example, they probably won't work if you put them in a Faraday cage. They probably will quit because they probably are talking to the outside world, which is always an issue. But it wouldn't be that difficult for us to build a small Faraday cage and put it around every one of the machines. They're not expensive to do. All it is a room, but we call them screen rooms, but it literally is copper screen and you work inside it. And we can do that. The issue becomes even more critical though when you start transmitting the information. Because if we, instead of picking up the telephone and calling them in Cheyenne, if we transfer it on the internet, by definition, it's interceptable, even if we encrypt it. Because I don't think we're going to go to the expense of doing 256 or 512-bit encryption. So it's always an issue. I'm sorry. The probability in our state is fairly low that somebody is going to go to the expense of doing that, but it's certainly there.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Other questions for Mike? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate you.
Who's next?
If anyone, yeah, Amber is next, if you would send her in. And if anybody would like to take a 3-minute break, Mick says.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Diane, thanks you.
I don't know if we,
So.
yeah, I don't know if we, well, he's taking it. So I don't know if we, how much of that we put in my.
Well, I thought if anything, at least it has.
My hair's getting
Yes.
all messed up. Can't deal with it. You getting the top sunburn?
I was gonna tell you that you need to take your cap.
Well, right.
I work just
Ray. Of course. Yeah, of course. No.
I've heard that.
Well, he was saying that there was.
Wow. Holy moly. It's going well. Yeah, good questions. Good interaction. Yes.
Yes.
Go to Thailand.
See, I had to work yesterday and I get home at like 8 in the morning and chatty Kathy and then I had to.
No, but it's 40 days a month.
Ready?
Oh, you got Ted, and not Ted, Bill, and Nathan, and them guys are all. They come out singing, oh, what a relief it is.
Oh, I know. I couldn't wait.
We had men's breakfast, so not a coffee.
I've not heard that. You know, I don't know what they use for anything. No, you gotta get
Good, where we get to work together. That's why I asked Mike to work with Trish with
But I had
Sorry, I didn't, I waited till you was like,
you make a good waitress.
well, thank you. I just got back from Spain, so that's why I told you that. That's okay, I wanted to make sure I said it right.
I do. Yep, I have your message and then we'll give you whatever.
I just told Lori.
Yeah, I'll be in touch. I just got back.
Is there something?
That's what. So anyway, you're welcome at every step. Except when you're doing it. Thank you. They all have their watches.
May not be a smart watch.
Never had. Okay. They're both.
Well, when Papa was there, it was.
All right, are we ready to regather?
I haven't talked to them.
Are we ready to regather? All right.
This court's out of order.
I'd let you have some, but it's cold.
You're right, this court is out of order.
All right. Thank you very much, Amber. Thanks for giving us a little break. And Ben is our timekeeper, and he is going to he'll give you a warning at 4 minutes and then cut you off at 5. Okay? All right.
I'm sure I There's no. I'm not a daughter, so I'm sure I won't.
Ready when you are.
Amber, Green Amber Pro, born, raised here. I moved away a few years, high school, went to live with my mom for a few years in Berlin, and graduated. Came back, and I've been here ever since, and worked as a paraprofessional for about 14 years, middle school, and then got the job at the county clerk's office, and I love it. I'm applying for this position because I've been in that office for the last 7 years, and like I said, I love it. I am very passionate about that office and the people that come in. I want to help them. There's issues every day. There's problems every day. And it's fun to figure out how are we going to solve it. When I started, I was the accounts payable. I did that for a few years, and then I was asked to be the deputy, and I accepted, and so I moved into the payroll position. During that time, we had somebody quit with land records, so I moved into land records as well as teaching somebody to do accounts payable. I taught somebody how to do land records, and then I also learned how to do payroll. So I've kind of cross-trained in all three positions. Also doing elections, learning how to do all that. Everything's a learning experience,
You learn things that, yes, they work, things that don't work. And you grow, you change, you keep doing what does work, and then if it doesn't work, you find something new that does work. And so, you know, I've been doing payroll, I love it. And currently, as the acting clerk, I'm still doing that. And I don't want to give it up, but I mean, I would. And I've been doing it for 4 years, so it would be pretty easy to train somebody to come in and do it. So it wouldn't be hard to, you know, hand over the torch and still act as clerk on top of that. I've been in the meetings, worked with the commissioners. If I do something wrong, I'm open. Please tell me if I'm doing something wrong. I'm gonna fix it. I am gonna change what I did wrong, and I will fix it. Things are always up for discussion. I guess, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. That's just kind of where we're at this point. I'm excited about doing it the last almost a month now.
1 minute.
Oh, thought he was telling me 1 minute. I have a question for you.
1 minute, right?
Okay. The last month has been so much fun for me. I have had so much fun doing things. It's been a lot of work. It has been a lot of work trying to catch up and get things and, you know, having to do both jobs. I mean, it's been a lot of work, but I'm willing to do it. And so far, I haven't had an issue. At least nobody's told me that I've had an issue with it. So, and I'm just gonna keep going, you know, doing what I'm doing until somebody doesn't like it, and then I'll either fix it or ask for help, and I have, believe me, I have asked for help. And there are a lot of resources out there. The other clerks are amazing. Secretary of State has been amazing help.
5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yes, Bill.
Madam Chairman, Amber, just in a couple of sentences, tell me who you are. I mean, who are you as a person? I don't need to know your resume. I just need to know who you are.
I'm a quiet person, but I'm very open. If there's something you want me to do, I'm willing to give it a try. Absolutely. I'm willing. I'm gonna listen. If you come to me, I will listen to you. And I will do my best to do as you ask. Yes.
Thank you.
So what is your leadership style, and how do you see yourself interacting with people who are all, which this is a little bit different for you, but now I'm trying to see if I need to read it. So the question is, which I've asked everybody, what is your leadership style, and how do you see yourself interacting with the people already in the clerk's office? So you might need to switch. Anyway, so answer that, and I might have that. Yeah.
I would say, I try to be helpful, and I'm very understanding that we all make mistakes, and everything's fixable. In that office, we can fix it. Admit that you've made a mistake, we'll fix it, and we'll move on. And they do. You know, the two currently that work there, and like I said, the last month have helped me realize those leadership roles that I do have. I like to stay organized. You know, and I've learned to delegate. I have learned to do that. So, very open, friendly, I would say, with them is kind of my leadership, but they're humans too. You know, I mean, they have their own lives. That job is, I mean, for them, it's not their life, you know. So they need to be able to go home and not worry about the job. So I have to remember that as a boss or a leader, you know.
Oh, just a quick follow-up, how, and so how, it's a hard question. How would you manage if the county commissioners choose somebody else besides you?
Understandable. Like I said, I love my payroll position. I love doing the job. The clerk position, I do know a lot. And the last month I've learned a lot more. So, I mean, and there's still a lot more to learn. I do know, you know, the resources and stuff already. So I am a big resource myself. So, I do understand. If I'm not the right person, I'm not the right person. But I do love my payroll job.
Ben?
Amber, can you give your opinion on the hand counting for election?
I don't know. I think it was a great backup for sure to when we needed it to help find our error and show. I mean, the hand count helped show our error in the ballots. You know, we see it. So the hand count is definitely a great tool, you could say. I don't know. I'm still kind of, I'm really up in the air about machine versus hand count. You know, I'm still pretty fresh to the election stuff. You know, I've done 3 years now. And so I've done 3 years of machines and 1 election of hand, you know, 1 hand count. And so there's pros and cons of them both. Yeah.
How do you feel about the current machines we have, their reliability, accuracy?
I think the accuracy of the machines themselves
Yes, and
are great. I think so far, the error so far we've seen is the ballot going into the machine. Yes.
Sue?
Do you feel our machines could be fallible if, you know, if somebody tried to hack or tried to use the little thumb drive to manipulate elections?
As far as I know, I don't think they can. I mean, I don't know how they could. Nobody has shown me how they could, I guess.
Ethan?
Hey, Amber, so you're in an interesting position that there's currently only 3 of you in there, and if you were chosen to fill this position, you would then, my assumption is, consume that workload solely amongst you 3 individuals probably. for at least the next month, maybe 2 months, until another position might be brought in, which could cause you more difficulties in potentially training someone. So in that regards, the other individuals have that also on top of them, having to learn the position, even though there might be 3 people there. And so there's a give and take that all of it, I think. I guess in saying that, I think, do you feel prepared to, because I understand you're still gonna have some learning curve. I think no matter how many times you look at the budget process, there's learning curve, and there is gonna be with the election stuff. Do you feel prepared to take on the next couple months, potentially with a 3-person team in your office, both what's falling in your lap for election purposes and budget purposes?
Yes, I've thought about that. I've thought about what that looks like, and you know, my hope would be once it got closer to elections to maybe, and I don't know how it would look like to get a part-time, because other clerks hire part-time people just to come in for elections, just to register people. And I thought about that. But I just don't know how that would work. And it would be very difficult because the other 2 just haven't seen an election yet. So, I mean, it is me. And there's gonna be a lot of training, and I am gonna reach out, I plan to reach out to election judges that have been doing it for years to help me train other judges. I don't want to do it on my own. I am going to reach out for help from, you know, Upton, Osage people, Newcastle people, the veterans of the elections to help me on that part. You know, because they're the ones that run the elections. I mean, what do you want to see that day? What would help you make that run smoother? And I think that would ease our job a little bit to know, because mainly in our office is just going to be the influx of people coming in and registering and stuff like that is going to be the big thing. And I think they're getting into the process of registering. My big thing is going to be the wire reg and learning all of that. But I think it's very doable.
Thanks for being here, Amber. Question would be, obviously, the reason we're here today is because there was a problem with the election in the clerk's office, the last election. So my question would be, what did you see what that problem was? And what would be your position in making sure that didn't happen again?
Well, I don't know how far I can go into talking about what happened at that election. You know,
Just, I'm not asking for names or talk
Well,
about
that's what I
anybody.
said.
I'm talking about the process of what happened that caused the election to, there be a problem with the ballots and so which was a problem with the election itself. How do you see that being corrected?
So, what would you do differently to make sure that these are accurate elections?
I guess what I'm trying to say is this has put me in a hard spot because there is the criminal investigation out there. And I don't think.
May I preface the question? On top of that, in regards to what is going on, do you feel prepared, I guess, in your role of what you know may have happened, that you are prepared to fix what may have happened that caused the issues? Would that be an easier question to answer, is not grouping in whatever you feel uncomfortable or?
Well, here's my thing, I don't even know if I know what happened. I may have been the deputy, but I was not privy to information that you guys think that I was privy to. And that's why I don't feel like I can share much.
Just a little interjection. I wasn't coming from the point of you being the deputy, so you should have been able to see those. I'm just talking about what we see now as the public, as this committee, of the things that happened, you know, with the election that caused this problem.
Right, but there lies the problem is, with the investigation, you know, there's what the public sees, but what actually happened. I don't feel like I can tell you what happened or what I seen in the office, because I've been asked by the investigators what happened in the office. So as a witness testimony, that's been, I don't know. I'm just scared. I don't want to say too much.
All right.
Okay, so maybe I should say this. If I were running an election and a problem happened and it was brought to my attention, I would fix it. I would admit I made a mistake and I would fix it. And I would tell you how I would fix it going forward and not do it again.
I guess just to be more understanding of what I'm trying to say is, it was obvious that there was a problem with the ballots that were used. So there's a process that she went through with the ballots that were used. So how do you do that before the election to make sure we're getting a fair election with the ballots?
Okay, so that's part of their questioning in that investigation, is that procedure policy.
Loretta.
So in your position right now, you would double check the ballots, you would be sure that they were accurate. All of them were the same.
Yes.
This place is full of love. You can tell the people that like to be with old people because they really take care of you good and are very kind.
Twice a day, every day, activities people have an organized activity that's always interesting.
Everybody loves to play bingo. We play it 3 times a week here. We also have ceramics that you can paint. Really pleasant to live here. It's a good place to be.
Ted?
I'd like to go on. Budget's coming up. They fund the county budget coming up.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of strain with the election, trying to make it a lot more transparent and function, hopefully. I see a lot of time coming up because of the election and the budget, a lot of stress and strain. How How do you handle that? Extra hours? How do you want to answer that?
Yes, extra hours. I've already visited with, Crook County about the, budget. And she has assured me I'm on the right line of what I'm doing. From what I thought I was supposed to be doing, and she said, yes, that looks like what you're supposed to be doing. Working with the commissioners, getting those put in there. Extra hours, just extra hours, extra time. It is gonna be a lot of time, extra hours for me, and I am willing to put it in.
Ray?
Amber, you know, this election coming up is really gonna be watched carefully by everybody in Weston County, but in the state and everything. I think that going into this deal, if you are elected to be the one that's leading, you can't operate with a 3-person office. I think it ought to be understood today that would be very unfair to you to say that you can't get some extra help. And the commissioners need to understand this, that they can't expect you stepping in with, and learning what you've got to learn and do, that they gotta say, you need some help, and don't be scared to get it.
Yes, no matter what happens, it's gonna be extra work for me.
It is, but let's start with a level playing field, that you're not trying to do 2 people's jobs. When the commissioners are got the budget you're working on first time, and the election. Now, the budget isn't gonna hit the airwaves, but the election is all over the state.
I mean, I'm training somebody new to come in as the clerk.
Yep.
Or I'm training somebody new in.
But it's a body. How much vacation time is the ones that's there got, if they gotta use up, or they're gonna use up between now and the end of the year and stuff? How much have you got that you're gonna be, this isn't a slave deal that we're trying to get you started into.
It's put me in a position. It's put all 3 of us in a position.
Yeah.
A really
And I
bad
hope that the
position.
commissioners will take this into consideration, that it will take, whether the person works out or not.
Yes, the timing has been really bad. Yes.
Bill, did you have a question?
Madam Chairman, Amber, I'm not even sure how to say this, but I just want to really thank you for showing some integrity and professionalism of not going down some rabbit hole when you ask those questions and being very cautious. So personally, I appreciate that, and I want you to know that.
Artie, did you have a question?
I do. What do you feel, how do you feel about the associations, and will you utilize them?
Absolutely. I am willing to take help from anybody that's willing to give it. And I will reach out in any way that I can. Yes, every day. I will. I've reached out to friends already, asking for help, some guidance. I am not afraid to ask for help. And sometimes I sound stupid and I apologize, but I'm human too. And this is all new to me, but I can't let it go. I love that office.
Okay.
Amber, how would you say your familiarity with the statutes? Haven't heard you say a thing about the statutes or any of that, so do you really feel like you know the statutes of what you're taking on?
in the everyday job at the clerk's office, no, I couldn't recite you a statute. But I do work with them every day in there. And the ones that we deal with almost every day, I do know there's a statute for that. And preparing for this interview, I have come across a few more that it's like, I didn't know there was a statute for that. So it's always a learning curve. And like I said, I'm always willing to learn more. If you know of a statute, bring it to me. I'll read it, but they are difficult to read, and there's always two versions of it. And
Or how many lawyers you have in the room.
exactly. And so they're eye openers. It's like, oh, I always read it, I always interpreted it this way. But you're right, no, it should be interpreted this way. So I do work with them, you know, it's nice, we have a whole shelf of all those books that I just jump right back to, you know. So it's just like math, you know, you're always gonna have a calculator.
Yeah.
Do you have to know how to do it, or are you gonna have a calculator? So, yes, go ahead.
Amber, you recently sent me a letter it's to the Republican Party about the selection of election judges. That is a requirement in the statute. You cited the statute in the letter. Can you tell me how you prepared this letter? Did you read the statute, or did you pull a letter from last year, or how did you prepare this letter that you sent to the party?
It was a previous letter, and I had spoke to Melissa Jones in Crook County because it was a last minute thing that, you know, I mean, that was at that point in time where I was just thrown in and trying to catch up on things, and found out this was another thing, and knew that I was not going in handpicking my own election judges. That I was going to reach out to the parties. So I guess maybe I should have read the statute, but I assumed the letter had been the letter that they've been using, and it was, I feel like I may have perused kind of what, you know, we have a checklist of what has to be done. So I knew it had to be done, and they shorthand what the statute is. So I didn't like read the statute, but I knew like the shorthand version of it. So I can't say that I read really what the statute was.
Thank you. Susan?
Do you think that letter was generated by the association, or do you think it's just been around for 100 years? I mean, I guess.
I don't know.
There, that's.
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Suzanne?
Based on what's gone on, you feel like right now there's a team effort in the office?
Yes.
Yep. And
Absolutely.
peace, some peace and safety, like that people feel safe too.
I hope so. I hope so. I try to make them feel.
I see smiles over there, so.
He's back.
I
try.
I can attest it does.
Well, I noticed your team was here, that's why I thought that was important.
I got one more question for me, I guess. You've got a pretty unique advantage in the fact that you have served with a lot of the other individuals, and I know you have attended a lot of the clerk association meetings and stuff like that, so you have that advantage of knowing those individuals probably face to face, and there's a comfortable space in reaching out maybe to people you already know. If we as a board were to elicit an outside entity to come and assist you through the election process, you think, would that be something that you would be open to, I guess, and having somebody in the office maybe for a week or two to ensure that those guidelines are followed and you're, the things that maybe go smoother compared to what may have happened in the past. Again.
So my wishful thinking that I move on, and this week I've already thought about it, yes. I've already thought about calling Melissa since she's the closest, to come down and sit with me and help me, not just through election, but through budget. Yes, absolutely. I've already thought about it and I would love it.
And I think it's fair to say that, I mean, regardless of who ends up in the clerk position, that's probably would be behoove us as a board to offer that to anything.
And I think the other clerks would be more than willing to help.
Any further questions? And Marty?
I have to throw in my trick.
Yes, I know, I know. And at the end of the night, you're gonna tell us the answer, right?
Now, I have to have full disclosure here that when the question occurred to me, I was in the clerk's office. And the situation evolved itself. Yeah, so think. So I mean, the light bulb went in my head and said, this is a good question to ask everybody. And so I will not give you the answer. Title 18.3.402 describes the general duties. There is one position that is stated in statute that we do not do. Do you have any idea what that is? And if you don't, it's okay. Nobody else. Nobody's known. And I will tell it when it's.
Now, I just read these. I know the clerk's duties are in 18, but there's also some in 34, or one in 34. Some of the duties in 18, let me think about it. No,
You
because
should have asked the cleaning lady, so. Yes, there is. No. That's okay if you don't.
That's so close. I did, because I seen it last time. I wanted to tag it and say, I didn't know we.
There are, just as disclosure, there's about 2,300 not necessarily duties, but entries in the statute books that say the county clerk. It's phenomenal. So it's a mean question, it's a tricky question, it's okay.
All right,
I mean, they don't know.
are there any other questions for Amber Allen?
It had something to do with the blank document.
It might be.
Let him come to you, Seth. I got a question for you, Amber. I mean, with our past clerk, there's kind of a public opinion that I'd heard going around that they didn't feel like they were, if they had something that wasn't just standard for the office, they tended not to get good service, I would say, from the clerk's office. And I mean, I know you said you try to help people because there's a lot of funny things coming up all the time, and I appreciate that. But just, do you have any ideas how you could help that whole opinion that the clerk's office isn't helpful and it's not easy to go in and do something tough, like getting in one instance I was thinking of, it's a banned vehicle title type of thing. And I mean, I've heard some people in the past say, it's not worth the effort. And is there any things that you have in mind that could make the clerk's office more helpful to the general public in that way?
Well, I think in the past, just getting to the point of, yes, it is abandoned, was difficult. But anytime it's anything other than straightforward, it's difficult to the public and they don't care for it. You know, I mean, They just want it to be easy, and you just gotta put a smile on your face and try to be as accommodating as possible. We do have the paper, so specifically for abandoned, you gotta give them the paperwork. You give them the lowdown, you gotta do the event inspection. You do have to send it to state. I mean, you do tell them it is gonna be a long process.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the abandoned vehicle, I mean, you just kind of gotta walk them through the process and tell them it is gonna be ugly if you wanna do it.
Yeah.
I mean.
No, and I understand the process isn't pleasant, but in the past, it seemed like I had gotten some feedback that it was almost, and it might be that they just took the process and just portrayed that on the clerk's office, I don't know. So, but.
I think it does. It's, you're always gonna have good, bad, and ugly. We just gotta put a smile on our face and try to help them walk through it as best we can.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I add on to that? So in years past, there's been this notion, and at one time and this is to do with the license of vehicles, and you don't do that as the treasurer, but there's been this notion, I'll just go to Curt County, it's easier. Is there a notion that, do you have a feeling that maybe you could bring those people back to license their vehicles in Weston County? Yeah, I know you're a title person, I fully understand that, but part of that process is the title and
I feel like we've already got the feeling of the ease in the office.
Thank you.
We've already got the camaraderie of other offices coming back, and I try to work with them as best as I can. I'm willing. I'll take what they got and present it. I mean, a lot of things aren't up to me to do, but that's one of the duties as the clerk. I don't get to make the decision, but I am the pass-through, so that is my duty.
Any other questions for Amber? Ken, you're gonna have to keep it short this time.
Okay, yeah.
A short question, Ken.
From Ken?
Amber, I first I really admire your work ethic. I've seen you work late, everybody does. And I like the way you elegantly interact with your office mates, be rated and so on. And so I want to get that out there because I'm going to ask a really tough question, okay? And this is tough. It's maybe the elephant in the room in some people's minds, maybe not. Is in mine. You were there every day, pretty much. And so you saw certain things, but it wasn't clear to me. Now, maybe you did, but it wasn't clear to me that you spoke up when you saw something that other people might think was unethical. So my question for you is, did you and I just didn't know about it? Or, and if you can't answer that, then the secondary question is, if you do in the future see something unethical or probably unethical or would look like that later, how will you handle that? Can you please comment?
Absolutely.
Because I think that's really important.
Yes, no, absolutely.
I'm sorry to have to.
No. Yeah, no, you're okay. I'm not gonna speak bad about Becky.
No, that's.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, I'm not gonna, I didn't, so I had to have a job. She was my boss. And I'm not talking about elections. But there were times that I would say things. You know, I did speak my mind. And so a lot of times it wasn't worth it. So, I mean, I tried.
In addition to the weekly printed version of the newsletter journal, we also promote our community and share important information on our award-winning website, newslj.com, and in our weekly email newsletter, Nuke Now. We also connect with readers through various social media platforms and invite you to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can even take a look at a recent meeting of the City Council, School Board, or County Commission on our YouTube channel. We do hope that you will go to newslj.com and subscribe today, and we look forward to making all of our great content available to you. But regardless of your level of support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing your part to preserve a free and independent local press.
On Amber's behalf, there are things that this group is not aware of that I will not tell because of employee issues, but in Amber's defense on this, because it is a private matter, I was reached out to privately, and issues were, I guess, to the best of my ability, tried to be dealt with in times of situations that you may be alluding to. I think because this is a tough spot for Amber to answer this, I think that I felt she did an adequate job when there was an issue and it needed addressed, that she reached out to people that may be able to help her with that situation. Personally, and I know I'm just speaking for me as the chair. But.
May I? So in the future, I think that's what I was trying to be parlayed there. In the future, if it's addressed in the same manner, is there an ability for you to handle?
Yes, absolutely. If I see something that in the office, I should say, within my powers, I would say something if I was in that role. If somebody else is hired to be the clerk, I would have to get to know that person, I guess. And it's all about, can you speak up to that person, or do you just have to remove yourself from the situation? You know? Because something unethical to me may not be unethical to somebody else. And there's always, you know, and outsider may have heard something was unethical and it really wasn't. I don't know. I mean, there's always two sides to a story. I mean, so.
All right.
I would like to say that, I think of, you know, out on the street, seeing somebody spank their kid or something, I would like to say I would stand up and say something, because I don't think that's ethical. I mean, depending on how bad they spank them, you know, but that is hard to stand up and say something to somebody. It is very difficult. It is.
All right.
I would try.
I just want to offer my apologies if I felt like I was pressuring you to say something that you're not allowed to speak on. That wasn't my intention with the question that I asked. So that wasn't my purpose in that.
Thank you very much, Amber. Yes.
Can I have one question?
Yes.
If you had it to do all over again, would you have acted the same as you did this?
The election?
Yeah.
I didn't do any.
Pardon?
I didn't do any.
Well, I mean, if you had to go through this whole thing, you know, all over again, would you have done the same?
I didn't do anything. I didn't do
Okay.
Thank you very much, Amber. I appreciate you. We appreciate the ability to get to know you better, and thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you. Thank you to your fellow employees for coming for support.
You want my input, I'm here all day. Except for when I go to work.
Is Stanley cooked out there? Is he like a lobster?
Friday. Can we have 2 minutes to stand up?
You may. 10.
You know, it gets kind of late.
I don't know if you put a limit on the Q&A. I mean, I don't know what she was privy to. You and I was together. We don't- she I always have a hard time. We all figure it out. We all I know you don't. I got it. Well, that's what I was trying to get
She's always been nice. All right.
Wait till I go home tomorrow. She has a great idea of what she's been trained to do. As a payroll, as far as being, she's.
I mean, if somebody said, here's a letter you need to send, right, send it to them. I would read it first. I don't look at it. And then if there was something cited, then I'm definitely gonna go look it up, and if I don't know what it is, I'm gonna.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I figured that out. Within like 2 questions.
It would have been a 5-minute information.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Someone
Haven't
else.
seen so long.
Same question. I want somebody to stir the pot, and someone asked the same question differently.
I probably be alluded to that. Anyway, something, but, yeah. The good news is, because it's going back on railroad property, they sent another letter that says, go ahead and use it. Yeah. I mean, within, Alexis reached out to me for the town.
But it says your letter
So I
to the
sent it to her within a day after sending that. I got a response from the BNSF that says, oh, we're okay with
And
it.
it says, we may or may not.
And it is, well,
And the statute says
Because that says you will use on your people that you submit to Wyoming. We're aiming at 54 judges.
I attached the statute, the statute.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Last page. So you're going to give all this to anybody in Wyoming to be a judge.
They're good.
Actually, it's judge.
Just judge.
I'll work.
I wish this statute said, it should say canvassing.
Yeah.
Because the canvassing function.
Let's just down the rail a mile and see if it's.
To double check the clerk's work.
Well,
No,
the other
I
part of this is, it says
Yeah, it was,
that
it would have cost me more.
We know she was there for what we wanted to test the machine.
The central Weston County.
You better run to the bathroom and get us
So we actually went through the backfill.
Or Stanley's in the hot chair.
And now it's just a monitoring
Wait,
station.
I'll
I think
walk
that
back.
ultimately by the because there isn't a big building there. Put a lock there or whatever. Yeah. As far as the goat itself.
we can see you tonight.
Yeah. That's yeah.
I know, that's what Jolie said.
Just
She
as a
goes,
brand.
"What's tonight?"
Honoring it. Already told
I'm getting kind of burnt out.
Yeah. I know the
Convention. It's nice to talk to people.
We're gonna give you 2 years off.
start up there.
2 years, so that's next year. Right, and
Ben's preaching.
Dean said he's getting burnt out from the convention stuff, and I said, well, we're gonna give you 2 years off, right, Ann?
Like having a baby.
Yeah, you need some time to forget before you sign up for it again.
Why do I have an
I have some.
I don't like coffee, empty stomach breath.
Two of the boys are out.
Would you like one of hers? Can I share one?
Yeah, please.
I'm sharing with
I have gum too.
Gum,
Do you have that watermelon gum? It's good. When I first got it, watermelon? It's pretty good.
And ultimately, the little guy down at the bottom of the totem pole is the
I like how they're sweet on one side and minty on the other.
Hey, sorry I couldn't make it. I had a community concert.
Community concert?
Yeah, I had
Alright.
Community concert.
Well, I have to go. I have to go.
We have nobody close to
Are we ready to reconvene?
Yeah.
Yes.
Show rolling.
All right, committee, are we ready to reconvene?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Stanley, for coming back. All right, so Ben is our timekeeper, and he will give you 5 minutes for your opening statement, and he will let you know at the 4-minute mark. Okay?
When I have 4 minutes left, or use 4 minutes?
When you've used 4 minutes and you have 1 minute left.
This is a very long table.
All right, ready when you are.
I'd like to thank the Weston County Republican Party Central Committee for allowing me to be considered for this position today as county clerk, acting county clerk, I guess. For a large part of my life, I was very inactive in social events and definitely politics. But I had a life-changing moment some decades ago, and I became conscientious about my community, my country, and certainly since I moved here, I've tried to give as much as I've taken from Weston County. For the last, I almost hate to say this, but I think for the last 4 years, I've been going to county commissioners meetings twice a month. I probably made 80% of them. And in those times, I've seen a lot how county government runs and works. I've also seen how
the county clerk's role in county government works and how the county clerk works with the county commissioners and the other departments. I've seen a lot of what the county clerk's functions and duties are. And I've also, I've been very vocal about what has transpired over the last year. I've been part of what's transpired over the last year, and I feel that now that we're in a very important transition, and I'm not in the middle of an election year, or not the middle, but the beginning of an election year, with this vacancy, I feel that I have, with my credentials and everything I experienced as outlined in my resume, that I have a positive, I have something positive to offer, and I'd like to offer and do this service for Weston County as a trusted servant in Weston County. So, I'll just say that and open myself up for questions.
Bill.
Madam Chairman, Stanley, just in a couple of sentences, tell us who you are, who you are as a person, not your resume, but who you stand on.
I'm a very flawed human being. I've experienced a lot in my life, and those life issues have taught me a lot. Because I've been open-minded. There was a time in my life, I don't know, sentences. I like commas, so this is a run sign. So I'm a person that's come to depend a lot on my faith in God. And in fact, coming here today, and actually when I wrote my resume, after I was done, I turned it over to the will of God, and I prayed for his knowledge of his will for me around all this, and to take away my fear. So victory over my fear might be a witness to his will. And the rest is up to you people. Amen. Thanks. I wasn't always that type of person, because there was a big part of my life I struggled with alcoholism. And in 1989, I believe God saved me. And I've used those 36 years since as learning in ways I couldn't, and applying what I've learned in, and I teach and I help other alcoholics and addicts. And I learn a lot of skills from it. So, thank you. Thank you.
So my question I've been asking everybody is, what is your leadership style, and how do you see yourself interacting with the people that are already in the clerk's office?
My leadership style is to, I'm not one of those, I learn from the people that I supervise. I'm open, and I love to listen to other people's sides of things. I have been involved in a lot of things in my life as far as mediations and dealing with grievances. And so if I was to get this position, I would learn more, as much from the other people that are the county clerks and deputy county clerks as I hope they would learn from me. I just, yeah, I'm very open-minded, and I'm willing to listen and take practical solutions from anybody actually, but definitely the people that I'm working with. That answers.
Ben.
Stanley, I've asked this to each candidate except one that presented it without me asking. But please provide your opinion on the hand counting.
Well, for full disclosure, I'm a member of the Weston County Republican Party hand counting committee, and prior to that, and for years following the 2020 election in particular, I have been proactive in speaking for hand count. and as a member of the hand count committee, just a week and a half ago, we were before the county commissioners on my birthday. That was my birthday present. And so I believe that we tried the machines and we found them wanting. I believe that myself and I would say 90% of the people I talk to no longer trust the machines and would rather trust humans over the machines. The state statutes, when they added the machines into the state statutes, they did not remove the hand counting and hand counting boards. They're mentioned 23 times in the state statutes. They tell you how to hire hand counters, how many you need, what do you pay them, election judges, and all the outlines to do it. So we don't have to rethink it. We don't have to invent state statutes to go to it. They're all there in place. And so I think the machines are no longer viable. I think humans are. And that aside, all the machines debacle about the upgrades and all that is all true. But let's just do this. The money that we pay for machines, which is about $24,000 to $27,000 an election, okay, goes out of the county, goes out of the state, goes to a company. We could save that $27,000 by going to hand count, right? Our average elections are costing us about $50,000 on an election year. Off year, we're still paying almost $7,000 for the machines, for maintenance, license renewals and upgrades, no software upgrades, but just extended warranties and license renewals. That's, so in an off election year, there's $6,500 right back to the county, not needed. An election year, you take that $6,500 for maintenance, and then you take the $5,500 we're paying for a person from ES&S to sit in our primaries. That's 12 grand right there, savings right off the top. That can go back to our county, back to yeah. And so I'd rather have my friends and family, or not necessarily my family, but my friends and neighbors and students and senior citizens and veterans counting the ballots that are machined. And the contracts for the machine is up on June 30 for this county. And the decision should be made a long time before that on whether we're going to renew that contract or not. And I don't think we should. Here's an interesting thing though. Here's another way you save money. In that contract, in Article 7, Section O, is a buyback clause. And if it's determined, and I'm paraphrasing, if any county determines that for whatever reason they don't want to use the machines anymore, ES&S has sworn to buy them back. So you're not going to be stuck with this empty pile of metal. You can sell them back to ES&S and save more money too. I think that hand counting can be done efficiently and accurately and transparently. And so that's what I do.
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
Marty.
I've asked this one from everyone too. How do you feel about the associations and would you utilize them?
I would do everything I could to withdraw from the association. I would rely on everything as far as elections with the Secretary of State's office. That would be my sole source to go to for election matters. And so that money could, again, be turned back into Weston County and used here instead of these. And I'm an ex-union president, so I understand how these associations work. And so yeah, and so I'm saying I would if possible withdraw from the association.
Nathan.
Yeah, I kind of brought this up to a couple of others. You got an election and also budget cycle coming up. Do you feel like you have the ability to reach out to other clerks or the SOS to help you fulfill those requirements over the next couple months? I mean, there's gonna be a large learning curve just going into that position for anybody. And I guess do you feel that you're prepared to try to tackle the problems that are gonna be ahead of you?
Thank you. Already on it. Talked to Secretary of State Chuck Gray and a possible future Secretary of State Rachel Williams from down in the convention last week mentioned our county and how she will work with our county if elected. I've worked with many politicians as a member of the Freedom Festival. I've worked with the Secretary of State. I've worked with senators, state senators, and state representatives. I know Melissa from Cook County, and I would reach out to anybody that I can for resources. And then I can. I would depend mostly on my deputy clerk and the associate clerks, and then the county commissioners. Well, I'm your clerk. I'll be your clerk. That's one of my main jobs. Clerk for the county commissioners. Second would be the elections. I'm kind of conflicted about that, but so no, I have no problem, and I've done it, and will continue to do it, and work with to bring integrity and fair elections to us.
Any other questions for Stanley? Ken?
Sorry. You don't have to go too deep in it. Some people are eager for lunch.
I got the corner.
Yeah.
I'm still a little nervous.
This actually is an important question. Can you comment on why you think the machines are vulnerable? I have my reasons, but can you talk a little about the machine vulnerability, please? Because it's a problem, I think. But anyway, I'd like you to comment on it.
Okay, so when we talk about the electronic voting systems, we focus on the tabulators, but there's more than that. There's a Dell computer, the 3500 Dell computer that is no longer upgradable. So there's that too, which is very important. So the machines are they're not upgradable. There's software. We've scanned the expense vouchers for all the elections that the machines were in. And except for the first election in 2020, when they loaded up all the hardware and software, there has not, that I can find, been a software update, a virus update to any of those machines. They are vulnerable, and especially it came to light in November 2025, following the New York City election. Department of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, found that the express voting machines are very happy, and that I love bikes. And they were programmed with a virus that when they transmitted the ballot that goes into the tabulators, it spreaded the virus to the tabulators. These machines are hackable. I'm sorry, and they're outdated. I mean, they're just the warranties are up, the upgrades are up, and the other part is we talk about hacking and we talk about this, but anybody with malintent that had the UPS drive and the key can manipulate those machines without any problem. And so the express voting machines were proven. The same equipment that they used in New York, and it was found to be hacked by the Chinese Communist government, and they flipped votes. That's according to the Department of National Intelligence, not me. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes.
And one other thing. They are hackable, they are honorable. Regardless of all that, the public doesn't want them. We're here to serve the public, right? The public doesn't want them. It was only 2018 we were hand counting ballots. And now, let's see, let's go back. Save a lot of money for the county, sorry.
So this is a question, I'm not sure if I made it to all of them, but I was trying to. So please explain in detail how you're qualified to run the election.
Well, I've done a lot of research on state statutes around elections. I've been an election judge. Well, prior to that, I was a poll watcher, certified. And I saw poll watchers is a very important job because they oversee everything, but they don't have a voice. They can report as it happens, and then they report afterwards. If there's a major problem, they can report to the election judge, head judge, that problem. If the election judge doesn't do anything, all they can do is take notes. All right, election judge can actually intervene. An election judge has the authority to deal with situations as they happen. So I've been involved with the 22 election and 24 elections as a poll watcher first. And I worked the registration table as an election judge for the primary and the general election. And I learned a lot about how you register to vote, what's needed to register to vote, and precincts and precinct committee men and women, and how it's all intertwined. And then I ran for office, and I learned a lot about elections that way, how to lose. Actually, I felt very. Here's the thing. I consider elections one of the most sacred rights we have. And when I ran, even though I lost, and I had 350 for school board, I had 350 people that voted for me that I didn't know. What an honor! Wow. Just because of what I said, they voted for me. And so the day after the election for school board was a school board meeting, I went there and I said, I took to the podium to congratulate the winners, and I said. So I just want you to know, when I stand up here from now in the future, there's 350 people standing behind me. So elections, so I would be honored to be part or to help direct the county elections for that sacred reason. Where else do we have a voice? And so so a lot of people may or may not know, I was one of the sponsors for the property tax petition that will be on the ballot in this, and I thought this is great because we're going to the very basic of elections, right? We're removing all the middlemen and women, all the lobbyists, and we're bringing the control directly to the people to make the decision that will affect their future. The very purest form of election, because we took out all the lobbyists. I wasn't running for office. Nobody, they could have gave me a little sandwich or something. So anyway, it's the most sacred right we have, and I would guard it with my life. I've sworn to guard it with my life. As a military person, as a firefighter, National Guard, I've raised my hand 4 times. I sworn to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States and the rights contained in it. So, and I pledged my life, and I have put my life on the line. I didn't just talk about it, I've done it.
So it's been, one of the questions I've been asking is so knowing what we know and what we've seen as far as the problem with the last election, what caused there to be a problem with the election and why we're here. What do you excuse me, see as the solution to making sure that that never happened again, as far as what happened with the ballots and the issues there that caused the problem with the voting.
Well, my solution is to go to hand counting and get rid of the machines. I know what happened. I know, what happened with the district, District 1 race, and I know what happened in the county commissioners race. And quite frankly, I believe there was more flawed, offices elected in that 24 election than we could find, because we only could test two races. I believe firmly if we tested more races, we would have found more flaws in the election. I know how it happened, if that's what you're looking for.
Well, so the problem was with the ballots. If there was a problem with the ballots, how did you eliminate that problem with what ballots were used?
Well, so there was confusion. So 3 sets of ballots that we know ended up getting used. And so I would state, and I was there for the testing for the general election when the county clerk said that ES&S didn't send the test deck to run the machines. And so her and her county clerks had to try to replicate that test deck. And they were in the office, they had ballots all over the place, not very good optics. And they tried to re-engineer that test deck. My point is, and we did it. It took 3 hours to try to re-engineer those test decks and then run them through the machine. That was, I guess that was, and then the test failed. And when we rescheduled the testing, the then county clerk said, "Oh, guess what? I found the test decks." I had a temper tantrum following that last test, and I threw a packet of ballots on the ground, and I thought they were blank, and it opened up, and it was a test deck. So I would pay more attention, for one thing, and make sure. But that would only be if if the machines were used. If the machines weren't used, none of that would have been a problem.
But you still have to use ballots to vote.
Yes.
And there's a order in the statutes of the law how the ballots have to be distributed.
Well, okay.
So I mean, that's part of it.
The state statute is clear. The state statute is clear of what needs to go on the ballot and how it needs to go on the ballot. The only thing state statute does not deal with is the size of the ballots.
Right.
All it says is the ballots has to be uniform within like per county. So you can't have multiple sizes or anything. Once the ballots are printed, it's proofreading to make sure that they're correct. Yeah.
I guess part of my problem is if you're the only one doing that, then that puts a pretty big burden on you. If you're the only one that are making sure that the correct ballots are being used.
I would use my deputy clerks, and I would also use election judges and everything that witness the testing. I have witnessed multiple machine testings, so I would, but I guess I would rely on. I wouldn't make that decision myself. I would have somebody else proofread them after I proofread them, and we do it together.
And that's what I was looking for.
Well, man, you took a long time getting
But I want your solution, not mine. I know. I mean, I'm just talking about seeing that. How do you, if there wasn't a problem with the election, we wouldn't be here today. It's like, so there has to be solutions to making sure that never happens again. It's like,
What if I told you that they knew about these problems ahead of the election? What if I told you that they knew about the District 1 race and the precincts not flipping between commissioners on September 13th? And it still happened 2 months later. What if I told you that? And I could prove it.
but my question would still be just,
Yeah,
you know, how we can have election integrity and how you as a clerk, what you're in your position, you know, to make sure that never happens.
I just place to do it. And I'm only human. See, this is the one thing. I don't strive for perfection anymore. I strive for progress. And that's what I do in this job.
Alan?
One question I have for you, Stan, is, you know, it's been talked a lot about how there's low confidence in our county of our elections. What process do you think you could put in place that would help improve that opinion of the people of our county?
I would like to see the county clerk's office get much more involved in promoting elections and registrations and being out like at the car show, having a booth there, talking to people, registering voters. As a county clerk, if like at the Freedom Festival a couple years ago, I wanted to register voters, but you can't. The only one that can register voters in the state is the county clerk. But I would make myself available if somebody was having something. I would make myself available as a county clerk and go there and register people. I would like to go to the high school and talk to the seniors getting ready to transition into the real world about this sacred responsibility that they have of voting. Not only voting, the most dangerous person in this country is the uninformed voter, right? And that's what we have. We have a lot of that. We go up with name recognition. So I would be out there promoting registrations, promoting voting integrity, and talk to people everywhere. Because it is so sacred and it is so important, and it's got to be done right. And here's the other thing: hand counters. Some of the hand counters we get would be seniors in school, 16 or above. What a great experience for them to be part of the election process. And then when they become eligible to vote, they would know all that stuff. That's our generation. That's what, I mean, look at the age of us running for this position right here. I'm sorry, I'll speak for myself. I turned 71 at the county commissioners meeting here. And Marty looked at me at one point like she was gonna spank me. And I said, well, you know, that's part of being a birthday. You're spanked. But we'll never go away. So
if you had not been at the county commissioners meeting that day, how old would you be today?
I can't answer it. No. It was a great way to spend part of my birthday.
Just kind of, maybe interject a little bit on Alan's question. I think it's, part of his question was nothing to do with the election. Just a job in the role of the county clerk in general as the public use your job.
Well, if I get you what you're saying, so the responsibility as a county clerk is actually huge, what they're responsible for. You know, as a county clerk, I would be the clerk for the board of commissioners. Secondly, be in charge of the election, huge thing. You do liens, do titles. You're responsible for payroll and recordings, minutes. I love minutes. One of the coolest things is you issue marriage licenses. What a cool thing! I'd like to get a board when somebody comes in and they allow you to take your picture and put it up there. Yeah, what a marriage. So it's a huge responsibility. It's a little intimidating. And that's why I'm going to require help from all the resources I can turn to for help. But I believe I can do it. And it's good. Do I get a parking space?
No.
I'll just bring my bicycle.
All right, Mick?
I think what really is being asked that hasn't really come out is the atmosphere in the county clerk's office. How would you improve the atmosphere in the county clerk's office?
You know, I told you I was union president. I didn't tell you how I became union president. Our union had been so decimated by lawfare from the city that I was involved with. We were almost $500,000 in debt and legal fees. The president quit, the vice president quit, the secretary quit, and the treasurer quit. When I took the job as president, I was the only executive board member for months. But as I led, they followed. As I led by example. First, I got a vice president, and then I got a treasurer, and then I eventually got a secretary, which is great. So what I'm saying is I would lead by example. I don't ask anybody to do anything I wouldn't do myself. And I understand the transition and the effect of what's happened over the last month, over the last year in our county clerk's office, and I would be sympathetic to that. I think that, you know, not to sound too overly spiritual, but I think there's a healing process that's got to take place in there. But I would, yeah, I'd like to make that a fun office, fun for the community, fun for the workers, but, you know, get the work done.
Very good. Marty?
The question we have all been waiting for.
What statue do you want me to?
So Title 18.3.402 describes all the general duties of the office, and there are other sections. There is one that is in statute that the county clerk doesn't do right now. Do you know what it is?
Issuing fishing licenses?
That's very good, but no, it's not. If you don't know, that's.
I don't.
Okay, but can I add a caveat? First of all, thank you for your service. Number two, I'm sorry we didn't say happy birthday. And we're all friends here, you can tell us.
I'll be back Tuesday.
No way. And number three is, we're all friends here, you can tell us where the bodies are. Well, you're the union guy. Huh?
Oh, 86.
No,
So, you know what 86 stands for? 8 miles out, 6 feet down.
Yeah. There we go.
I didn't.
No, I can't try it, or I won't try it.
I knew it was that, but I didn't know that.
It's a may be the secretary to the planning and zoning, which would be an incredible attribute to this county.
Okay, so again, maybe.
You are allowed to be the secretary to the planning and zoning.
So we need to tell all the candidates that are outside here.
Oh, they'll find it.
You know that they went out.
Yeah, and they liked you, they would have told you what you was gonna be asked before you came in.
So, I only asked one person for guidance before I came here today, and that was God. So,
And he's not taking minutes, that's for him.
yeah, and he's probably got somebody to do that.
All right. So, do we have any more questions for Stanley?
Let me just say this real quick. You know, I've mediated arbitrations, grievances. I've negotiated municipal contracts. I've advocated when people have been treated unfairly within my workplace, and I would do the same. And again, I wouldn't hold anybody to any accountability that I wouldn't be accountable myself. So thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Stanley. All right.
Susan, do you have a question?
Yes, Susan.
Stanley, do you observe your staff being disrespectful to a public person, a customer? How would you handle that?
I will try to diffuse that situation if needed be. And then after the fact, I will talk to the person and counsel them on what I thought would be effective with the situation. But if it was an escalating situation, I would try to diffuse it right there as best I could for all involved, the employee and the public.
Thank you very much. All right, so the next thing we have to do is vote.
Do we invite them back in? Or do you want me to go outside? No, I vote.
You do.
No? No?
He does. He's an officer.
But it, a bit conflict.
Yeah, and he didn't listen to the other.
True. Yeah.
Well, I'll do that, but I know that as a school board member, I voted for myself.
Right, yeah.
And as a precinct committee person, running for precinct committee, I voted for myself. But whatever the board wishes, So, am I going outside or inside or put my hat back in?
So, does the body want to deliberate or discuss among ourselves, or do you just want to vote?
I would go to vote.
Just vote? Is that what you said?
Peer pressure is not involved. I think we've all of us heard every candidate, and I think all of us should be able to make up our own minds. And
All right.
pressure and if there would be such a thing out of it.
All right. So I have, what does the,
I'll excuse myself.
Okay.
all right, so we'll have 21 ballots. I have
These guys will agree with that.
21 ballots and I'll hand them out.
Well, that's good. Then there can't be a tie.
Yeah. Jolie is a proxy.
Last time I did this.
I should be able to vote.
No.
I should have been able to vote.
No.
I don't want to cause a
We
fuss.
like it this way because then there can't be a tie.
Yeah.
Now we'll have 21.
Without me voting?
Right. We'll have 21.
No.
Let me have a candy.
Have a candy. Yeah, that's your consolation.
Is that it? I better
We
take
write
two
all
then.
3 names on the ballot that we
Are they
want, 2
dummies?
names, 1 name, what do we do?
Well, let's wait for Terry. That's the last time I was in telecommittee, that's what we did. We wrote all 3 names on the ballot. And we counted, we had a paper, I take a paper back there and I write 4 names down. And they read them off to me and I count them. So,
Are we doing all 3 on 1 ballot? What do we
Right,
do?
so why don't we do it this way? Put your name in the lower corner,
which lower corner, left or right?
Lower right or lower?
right?
Oh, right. I put it in the left.
Whatever. And then in the middle of your ballot, put your 3 selections. Is that fair?
But it does not have to be 3. If we already
Does not have to be
started, can we
3.
use the backside?
What's that?
If we already started, can we use the backside?
I don't have a problem with that. Ted,
Did you take any minutes?
All the candidates are
27 pages.
different first names. We just put their first
Type 'em
names
up.
and qualify.
I don't have a problem with that. That you're mixed, yeah, you're the counter.
Well, that's the judge.
Yes, we will do first names. We know people by first names.
Even though it has a recording.
You don't have to vote for 3.
You're okay, I'll sneak in.
Yes. I don't know if my hat's big enough, I think it is.
Maybe I can borrow, I can borrow pens. Do you want to collect them? Or-
I took it out of her.
So we have, our 3 members of the counting board are Mick, Ted, and Alan. So if Mick, Ted, and Alan would collect the ballots, and you should have 21.
Drawing out the hat. You guys hold it up. The only ones that I get to count are the unfolded ballots.
I don't remember that being in the room.
I had too much coffee.
Are you?
Whenever I get it from the little party class, by the end of it, it's like.
Really?
Going, look at my water, it's like gone, because I've been trying to balance.
Right?
She voted for me. You know, just sitting down talking with her the other day, I pretty much felt like I got what she wanted. And that was, you know, before I even really knew that my family was that in. So,
They're small pages, those, Stanley. They're small pages.
You got all that? You didn't get all that.
yeah, I did. I thought, yeah, because, I mean.
What were you writing?
I was writing down the questions and then a synopsis of the answers, because I thought you would want to read them.
Oh,
But
okay.
not just that, but then I didn't know how diligently you wanted these to be done. And
Holy cow. I thought you were.
but the thing is that you know, you can add what you want. I also put down the times, so you know when they started and.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Wow. Wow.
It's,
Because there's two Susans and there's a Suzanne and a Sue. So we're going to Isabella's? She said like an hour. Like an hour.
We'll be there in an hour?
If we eat and we kind of talk.
Oh,
a little bit,
yeah.
We're just putting basically our agenda together. We got what, 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Talking.
That was an hour and 20 minutes. It could go on.
I don't think so.
It should go.
No, because we're bringing forward stuff we want this time, and we're bringing them the answers that they asked for last time. Yeah. Hopefully they'll deliberate for a little bit, and then we have the
Maples. Can I have one of those maples?
Those are good.
Maples.
They are, yeah. So I told my mom that I needed more. My mom lives in Vermont, and I told her I needed more, and she shipped me a case. So
You should take donations next time.
oh,
And then,
I love them. I'm just like, they're so good.
She lives in Proctor, which is right outside of Ludlow. I owe like 10 minutes. Southern. I had to put the sticker over there so I'd stop drinking it for a while. Getting coffee shakes.
They're good. They go to the commissioners. Interview these three again.
Correct. Yeah.
No,
But then on the agenda, the commissioners gave like 20 minutes for interviews.
Did you guys know this was Dean's birthday?
Dean's birthday?
I was gonna say something during break, but then you're like, okay, everybody, let's get back. Okay.
We sing him happy birthday tonight.
I gotta be leaving town at
No.
12:30.
Huh?
I said I gotta be leaving town at 12:30.
Just be like a kid in the candy store.
If I kept saying,
That eat chocolate.
come on, you're one of these people that like to
Yeah.
But you know, whatever. I told
Yeah,
him,
you're running out of time.
I'm running out of time.
what he needs to do is
Hey, brother.
hanging out with you and tell him that he would his security leave. And even if it was just here while he was back here. Well, he got all the places for it already.
Oh,
Terry,
that's yours.
he's
Thank you.
Chuck's driver.
Thank you.
Yeah, during campaign season, Chuck could get us sleep every once in a
Well,
while.
not just that, but he'd be able to eat and he would be also able to read emails.
Yeah.
Sorry.
When you have our fishing game
Not very
with
good.
Joe, that's what he does. He sits in the back and Joe drives when he's campaigning. He can't do any Joe, so.
Would it be wrong of me to be able to leave? I have an appointment at 2. Can I go and like give James, give me
Thank you.
Why does it have to be, all? But I was looking for answers when he was asking,
Like, I wanted to help James
what do you do?
rephrase his question, but I'm like, I can't because I'm still writing the last two. Stanley would
Hope you would have learned from our latest governor if you just asked her to step out.
So I mean, I know.
I was trying to be.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
I was going there. I was gonna get there. I was gonna ask you to step outside.
I would like in the
Here,
minute, I would
Stanley,
say
nobody wanted.
4 candidates a question.
Say
So I
nice
thought, well,
question.
I know he wants to list the questions and not necessarily the answer, but just the question. So I made sure the questions.
It's very nice of you.
Do you know where the one for Patricia went that I asked?
Oh, right here.
Yeah, all right.
I just folded it and made it into a packet.
Does she have her thing changed?
Yeah, resume.
Resume?
That's her opening statement.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
I thought I had one.
You can have my
My stuff
copy.
was passed around and I didn't get it.
I never had it. I never had it.
Yeah, all right, very good. Thank you.
She had an appointment.
Well, I wonder if she's looking racial
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what she's working today. And some of it. Really?
It's like all work.
I know, I don't. Because I got my other guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know how.
Yeah.
Especially for the All of it. I keep going back to that person where they circled down, they wrote down attorney, and they wrote down.
Yeah.
Did the machine count?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I could have told you flat out.
Can you all come back and read? Oh, yeah, they had to count it. That's all right.
How'd you do? 5, 10. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our results. Tricia received 14 votes. Michael received 20 votes. Amber received 10 votes. And Stan received 14 votes. So the 3 names we will put forward are Tricia, Michael, and Stan.
Thank you all for running.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for all your questions and your participation in the process. And if anybody wants to view the ballots, they're here.
Prayer.
Can we,
Make a motion, we adjourn?
could we, 1 second. 10. If we could close in prayer.
Lord, we thank you today for the process that we have in this country. Lord, we thank you for everyone who came and participated. Now, Lord, as we turn these names over to the county commissioners, Lord, as they meet with these men and women, God, that you would give them the wisdom, Lord, to select the right person to step into that position. Then, Lord, we ask grace upon that person that they will do everything possible to prepare for the election and the budget. Lord, that they will work hard with those who are already in the office. Lord God, that they would be people who will be honest and above board and full of integrity for our county. And that, Lord, they will make that office a place where people enjoy coming to once again, where there's a lot of fun and laughter and everything that goes on amongst those who are employed there. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you.
I just want to say one thing before you all leave. I just wanted to say, I don't see Nathan. There you are. I just wanted to say thank you to Nathan because when this whole thing happened, Nathan and I had a conversation and we worked through timing and things that we thought that would be best for the county and transparency in this whole process. So I just wanted to say thank you to Nathan for that, and thank you to all of you for coming and participating in the process. Thank you.
So are you catering?
And we're adjourned.
We are
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all.